Hello and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Mitch, and on today's episode we speak to Sally and Tom from Yonder, who I want to say, I definitely know you've wanted to have them on for a while.
No,
quite a long time actually.
Sally's been on before.
So that's where I was going with that, yeah.
But Tom never came on. Tom's always been in the background, she says in this, and she's pushing him more to the foreground now because Tom's the one that's always taking all the photos and the videos and everything you see Yonder, photos, videos and everything like that. Her husband Tom does all that. So we go on for it starts off as a podcast about file numbering, I think, on photos and videos. We all start geeking out.
When you're gathering a lot of content, a filing system is important, as I'm finding out currently.
Yeah.
I'm fairly organised with it. But yeah, no, it was great to have them on, and actually Tom is really fucking good at what he does as well.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. This one's probably one of our longer episodes, probably fair to say. So stick with it. These guys are fantastic, and Should we get into it?
We cover all sorts in this as well, so it's really worth listening. And straight into it, and we'll come back afterwards. I'll start by saying welcome back to the show, Sally, and also you've brought a young fellow with you as well this time.
I'm not so sure about the young, but yeah, I have. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
We probably start as well with a huge thank you for the lunch, the curry.
Absolutely no problem. Yeah, it's the hospitality. You're more than welcome.
It's great hospitality. Yeah. So any future guests listening, and previous guests for that matter, just saying.
Do you know what? We had a previous where we've been promised it before and it never happened, and I can't remember who that was either.
We got takeaway pizza once from the Crookshanks. Pretty buzzing with that. It took about 3 hours to arrive, but that wasn't their fault.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Well, we set a new standard here for guests. So,
that's how we want it. So maybe tell people who you are, since you're the new one to the.
Hi, I'm Tom. Tom Bing, Sally's husband. Not co-founder technically of Yonder, although I've been there since the very beginning. Really involved in both the business and like Northeast surfing. I'm a photographer. Make some videos, and I've been kind of doing all the online side of things for Yonder. A lot of like the storytelling side of things alongside Sally. It's too much for one person to do. So basically in 2020, I just jumped full time onto that project. And what is it now? 2024.
Yep.
And we've been doing stuff together. Forever, but officially that's all I've been doing since 2020.
I like the fact he says I do some photos and some video. Like, it's like another level, photos and videos. They're like proper, like good images and video that I've seen. Like stuff you've done. It's not just like some people think, like they go, oh yeah, like it's like that thing of, oh, I'm sort of an average surfer. Yeah, I do a little bit of video and photography.
Well, it's always good to under promise and over deliver.
That's a strong ethos. Also, if I'd known you were so established, I would have put more time into setting this up. So
I think I am really bad at promoting myself and what I do. I guess maybe I should say that in a former life, I was more of a successful photographer. However you measure success, I've been to Steve Cavalera's house in California, shot covers of magazines and done all sorts of stuff like that. We've recently just made a film called Out of Step, but we might talk about. But I am shocking at promoting myself, and my social media is literally just me skateboarding to hardcore songs, so I'm sorry. But I am trying to sort that out currently, and try and project a little bit more of what I do.
You're definitely a photographer face on the East Coast, Northeast Coast. Anyway, you're like out every swell shooting, not just myself. You're capturing whoever's out there, and you're well known for that around here. So you do need to give yourself more credit.
It's a really hard thing to do, and probably where this is frustrating.
Coming from you.
No. That's what I'm saying. I know I'm really good at promoting myself. The sad thing about it is that I've got no talent to promote. So I've been able to do the promotion side, but the talent level's lacking. So I had that piece, it would be great. But you're right. It's easy to sell someone else's ability than it is yourself, and it can feel quite big-headed, arrogant, ignorant when you're trying to sell yourself. But actually, for that kind of output for photography, filmmaking, and so on and so forth, you have to sell yourself, don't you? So
well, I guess you do, but I suppose like, I think for me, like shooting and making films and stuff is almost like it's like a compulsion. Like it's something I just have to, I just have to get it off my chest. And like back before I was doing this, I was promoting myself really hard. It was like I really was out there, and, making connections and whatever. But I suppose maybe with Yonder, like we've got a pretty clear picture of what it is that we're trying to do, and then we've got a pretty clear picture of what's needed to get it to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I've kind of hidden behind that for a bit, and then when I do start to step back and think about it, I'm like, all those shots on that Yonder feed are like none of it is reposted content from somewhere. It's like literally all totally original content. Sometimes it just. But you're just in a rhythm of just doing. So it's just it's like it's fun. I just feel really lucky that feels like that's my job. Feed that stuff in, and it feeds a habit of shooting stuff, and then
Would you also agree that it's rare that we have to like work hard at making content? It's just literally like it's the life that we live, or the way that things are done, that there's just constantly something that you could be taking pictures of and filming, and super inspired by so much as well. So like, but he's just I don't know what the word is, but it's like machine. There's just so much comes out of Tom that he can kind of create. I'm often in awe of what there's a lot of that.
I wish you would listen to some of this, because if I'm driving or I'm doing something, like I'm constantly looking for B-roll. Like for everything we've done today, for example, there's been plenty of moments when we've driven here. Great bit of B-roll. Pete, are you filming this?
Pete, me and you are the same.
I'm like, that's amazing. Like, you're not filming. Why aren't you filming?
I honestly feel like I've gone down that route more. Like when I was younger, like I'm I don't know how old I am. 37, I think I am now. That doesn't sound right.
I have no idea how old you are.
Just a baby.
Genuinely, 36 or 37.
Yeah.
It doesn't
so
matter
like whatever.
30, does it?
But then like I've been, like I went to my like claim to fame is that I got a U in photography at college, which is genius, isn't it? Like you go on and then build a career out of photography. But I think at one point it was like almost like an unhealthy compulsion. Like I was taking photos of everything. I couldn't enjoy anything. I was like, right, shoot that. Like whereas I think as the older I've got, and like particularly like having a kid and trying to like separate the times when I'm shooting and I'm not shooting, and like see it as have a healthier relationship with it. Like I think there's Sally's always like, she says that, but then she's like, surely you got some shots of us like doing this, or surely you got him doing that, and I'm like, nah, I didn't even take my I do try to separate it off a bit, because otherwise it becomes like, I've got stacks of external hard drives. Like I always joke about it. Like I've never deleted a photo that I've ever taken, ever. Okay. I've got all the raw files, and like that's just in case like when I die, somebody wants to make a book, and they're not ever going to do that. But do you know what I mean? I'm like, better not delete that blurry out of focus shot. But like now I've tried to like, I've seen a significant reduction in hard drives arriving on the doorstep of like, like having to shoot terabytes and terabytes of raw files all the time. Like maybe it's just honing in a little bit more and having like an output, rather than just like getting everything, I don't know, but yeah.
I know, like before you were saying like you like a simple life and stuff like that. Is that because you spend all your money on hard drives?
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? It's like
they used to be expensive as well.
Did,
like
I used to get those like the lacy ones as well. And they were super expensive, but I normally like put it on a job. Like, I need a 2 terabyte hard drive to back this job up, and then but you really only need like a few gig or whatever, and then you've got the rest of the hard drive for I don't know, photos and nonsense,
whatever you need.
Other projects.
How long did it take you to work out that you needed to have an absolutely solid naming convention for all your files?
Work in progress. No,
there's no perfect solution, is there?
See, I think this is different, because every photographer that I've known doesn't do it. Every filmmaker has solid names. Every photographer is just like, it comes in the file order.
That's really interesting, because actually, like, I don't know if there's any photography nerds out there, but what my system I've developed over like however many years is every time I get a hard drive, I put a sticker on it, right? Could be like, I don't know, whatever sticker, and then I call that hard drive what the sticker is, and then everything's in Lightroom. So then if I need to find an old photo, then I'll find it in my Lightroom catalog, and it won't be linked, but then it'll say like, I don't know, like Dogtown sticker, and they'll be like, so I need the Dogtown sticker, and plug that in, and then it pulls that photo up. So, but whereas my film stuff, like I haven't got a clue.
So you've gone the other way.
It's just like 001 to 0 whatever, and I've got a clue. Yeah.
So I go for everything. So whether it be Lost Shore, whether it be UK Surf Show, whether it be all my own stuff or stuff I'm doing for other people, it always starts off with bigger picture. So for UK Surf Show, for example, it would go UK Surf Show, and then it would say episode whatever, then it would say the name of the guest, and then if there's something specific, their brand or whatever, it would have that in there. And then I'll have all these episodes really clearly detailed. I can always find it. It always sits exactly the same. And the only thing that changes is the number. It was set like in a naming convention, alphabetical, numerical order.
And
then
the video.
And then I'll be like, Pete, send me the audio for them 3 episodes, and then I just get 9 different files, all with identical names. Nothing. They're just 001, 002, 003.
Oh my God.
3 times. I'm like, I cannot deal with this.
I don't know. It's like it's useful to have some sort of like I do that. Obviously, I do have like folders, and then I put I have like normally each hard drive has a folder called Surf Sessions, and then I'll name it something daft like Foggy Morning, like. Whatever, or like such and such here, and then inside of that is all the raw files, and then inside of that is an edits folder. Do you know? So there is some some process to it. No, I didn't delete anything.
See, this is the problem I'm finding at the minute. Because my hard drives are just filling up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Actually, for this, I'm sort of like so this footage we've got now, I'll obviously turn this into an episode and a massive timeline. Yeah. But what do I need the raw files for after?
I don't know. Like I guess like I don't need all those raw files, but sometimes you like I don't know. What
about the film? Like we just went through.
Files? Yeah, there was loads of stuff, and there might be like a second or two here or there.
Yeah.
You can there might be like little bits and bobs, but
like a digital hoarder.
I would say
a digital hoarder. Yeah.
Would you say the film that we just made, when you went back and got like a catalogue of stuff or like archive stuff, that was all raw file?
Yeah, because I'm quite a hothead, so I'll edit something and then I'll just like be quite brutal, and then maybe in 6 months' time, the things I've been brutal with, I'll be like, oh, actually, that was pretty cool. Do you know, like there's other things that you come out of that. There was that awesome. I don't think I ever watched it. I just heard about it. That awesome thing with like Larry David when they solved that crime. Did you ever hear about that?
Was that the?
They were like filming something in like a basketball match, and there was this guy who was like wrongly accused for a crime, right? And then he was like, it couldn't have been me. I was at this basketball match. Well, it turns out they were filming Curb Your Enthusiasm at the basketball match.
Okay.
And they had him in the background, and they pinned it wasn't him.
No way.
He was incarcerated for this crime. It wasn't him because he was there. So hey, you never know. My hard drives might
exactly. You may save the world one day.
Say what you said with the skateboarding thing, but I think that's a very cutting footage. Is like it's very skateboarding stuff, because you'll film someone skateboarding doing something like 100 times, and they'll get it on the first one, and you're like, that was brilliant, and they're like, no, my foot wasn't completely over the bolts, and it's like, oh, come on, man. And you sat there for like another 3 hours filming the same thing or whatever.
Or sometimes the other way, though, because sometimes it'll be like you'll have all the attempts, and then they'll normally stop when they're happy. Yeah. You know, like, I just did one that I was really happy with. Okay. So like sometimes, like not all the time, but sometimes you'd be like the last one in that kind of location, you'd be like, okay, that was the one. Could we stop because that was the one? Do you know what I mean? But then sometimes it could be like one of the ones in the middle that you never maybe get the last one. Yeah. So you have to go back through and find. But I don't know if there's any perfect way. Anyway, why are we talking about?
I don't know.
Organising files.
Right off on one. So
before we move on, you're obviously well established at it. I would like you to rate the setup now. What would you do different if this was you filming this now?
Like, I don't have any loyalty to any brands.
Not for brands, I mean just the general setup.
Well, the first thing I would say is I would be using Sony's, because everything else I've ever seen seems like a child's toy, but I don't really know because I'm just so used to it. I always think
that about Sony's. I would use Lumix personally.
Yeah. But you're probably better at self-promoting yourself, so you've probably got some sort of deal with them. But, like the tripod. Yeah, I like your setup. It's good. Like
angles.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't checked your screens, but they're pretty good. They're all at a similar height. Maybe you could get some dynamics, sort of like, something in there.
You've not taken something into account.
Go on, what?
They might be at similar height. We all are. Not. So actually, they are at different heights.
Okay. And we're not.
What kind of lenses are you shooting on there? Because I'm a staunch, I never use it.
So on this one, I'm using a black lens. That's also got a black lens, and that's black. I don't know if there's numbers attached to it, but they're all black and they've got a glass front.
Normally 35s, aren't they?
I think they're all 35s. I've got one prime on you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool,
big up Lost Shore. Thank you for lending us that.
Yeah, I'm a big prime fan. I think
I've only just established primes. I've never used them before. I tried to use it on a gimbal and realised that's impossible.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Because it was heavy, or because it was just
it handled the weight.
Wider?
Just it's on a kit. It's on an adapter, so it's all obviously manual focus.
Yeah,
so trying to follow people on a prime, I've realised is non-starter. So this was the photography podcast. Tune in next week.
You know what? Just one last thing on that. Like I like have been through kit and I've been through like tons of stuff, and like I feel like quite. Maybe it is, just getting a little bit older. Like I don't feel like I used to feel like I had to lug loads of like stuff around, like pelly cases of like shite and lenses I'd never used. And like over the last 6 or 7 years, felt totally liberated that I just don't really care anymore. And I just shoot probably 99. I shoot 100% of the photos that aren't long lens photos on the same lens, and like I feel like that's formed the entire visual language of my photography style.
Really?
One lens.
What are you using?
Well, like it's like a secret surf spot, isn't it? Like if I tell you that, it's the source, isn't it? No, I use like a Zeiss. It's really expensive actually. It's like a Zeiss 50mm 1.4.
Yeah.
But I had one, and it broke, and I took it to the camera shop, and the dude was like, "Yeah, the Sony rep came in. He said he's literally never seen one that's been like as abused as this."
Oh, really?
So I tried a Sigma Art 50mm 1.4, and it just didn't look the same. So I had to just splash back out and get another Zeiss. So I want the second one of them now. But yeah, I don't know. It feels so familiar to me in my eyes, and then all the work that you see is like exactly the same. Do you know, like the same aesthetic? You
say that why we're talking about photography, actually, but it really establishes you as such an important thing. And actually, storytellers. I don't see myself I definitely don't see myself a photographer, filmmaker. I think I'm a storyteller. So the cinematic aspect's not as relevant. I'm just like, that angle looks good. That's fine. I'll take that. But it's super relevant to what you do, and I'm curious within that then what you think about phone footage.
Like in what respect?
For photos and filmmaking.
I mean, my phone's full of stuff, but as like a proud dad and a like shite agent skateboarder, my phone's full of stuff, But like in terms of like in a professional capacity, I don't really use it. I think definitely there is like a move on social media, isn't there, where like some people are like, oh yeah, get it, just like capture it on your phone, like make it look really raw and this and the other.
Yeah, a lot
like,
of brands don't want.
They want that.
They don't want actual camera shots anymore. They want it to be on the phone because it feels like more free and natural or whatever.
I suppose it depends on the purpose, doesn't it? If you're making long form content, clearly, proper cameras. But for short form that's going to be seen and disappear, like for example, all this camera equipment here, when we do the intro and outro, because it's so close as well. Like I think cameras are rubbish if you need depth.
Yeah.
We do our intro and outro both on phones, and annoyingly, probably if you looked at the footage, the phone footage would look better than the main thing. Yeah.
Well, that is the thing. They are pretty amazing now, aren't they? And but like, I'm not super precious about it. Like, I'm not like, I'm not super precious that things have to be a certain way, or like I don't really use any lighting. Everything's kind of natural light and stuff like that, and I'm not super like purist about it. But I think just by narrowing my parameters, it makes me feel comfortable in like shooting things. Like we needed some photos of something really like arbitrary yesterday, and like I'm not gonna go right, okay, which lens do I need and how do I say it's like it's already there, ready to go. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like a big deal, whereas I think
and the one more on that then, so I know you said like what the lens you normally do. What about long lens stuff? What do you
I mean,
so I'm just thinking as well for people out there that like want to get into starting taking photos of surfing and stuff like that.
I would love to be able to afford like a huge like prime big zoom thing, but like it's just not in my reality. And the reality is like I've taken surf photos for years, and like if I was relying on that for my job, like I'd have to be very savvy to like make action surf photos, make enough money to even pay off one of them like 20 grand lenses. It's like, do you know, like that's not a reality. But I did I bought like it's 100 to 400. It's an A mount Sony. I just like have an adapter from A to E. Yeah. And I've had that since 2016. That same lens, just try and look after it. And
do you find 400mm always enough?
Generally, I do. And then, but like I've got a full frame camera, and you can use like the APS-C settings, so you can like use less of your sensor. And like straight off the camera, it gives you like 600mm equivalent thereabouts. So I've never really found it to not be enough. I try and shoot in the water too with a 50 normally. That's really difficult, and again I would love to buy like an Aquatech, but like just reality is like I'm not on the hustle, and I don't live in Newquay, and I'm not like connected to all these, and I also don't want to work for like that many surf brands and stuff like that. It's not really what I want to spend my time selling stuff. So to even make it worth me buying. Like I've just got like a Sea Frogs Chinese one that like I bought 4 years ago. And to be honest, like it does everything I want it to do. Within those parameters, I can make it do what I want it to do. It's more down to user. Like, am I in the spot? Is the light good? Is the surf good? Can I connect with the subject? Like, but I see people with like red cameras in, like, and you're on some hustle. If you're making that five or 6 grand DSLR and Aquatech housing setup work for you as a surf photographer, either like you're getting some, like there's something else going on. Are you
suggesting there's not much money in surf photography, Tom?
I'm definitely saying, like we were just talking about this the other day, like I don't think there's enough value placed on the creativity and within the surf industry. Like, we made this film, it's funny, like we made the film, we shot the film, we edited the film, we did the titles, like it since has been put through like a process and other people have helped us with that, but like that's unheard of in worlds outside of like surf, skate, punk, DIY, like that you would like shoot photos, write an article, do an interview, do the titles, lay it out, find a printer, print it, distribute it, like
all yourself.
Like if you look at like a lot of stuff, there's like you look at a lot of films that are made, like a 5-minute film that's like was all right, and there's like producer, executive producer, screenwriter, director of photography, like this, that, and like what you were saying earlier is like if I want to capture a moment or a feeling, just to be able to grab a camera and shoot it rather than like I know people who literally like every time they shoot something they've got an assistant walking down the street backwards with a laptop, and like those barriers to actually capturing those feelings and those moments, it's particularly pertaining to surfing, like we feel those moments, we just want to capture them, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, that's really nice, so just let me just set up this and this and change lenses and do this and put 5 flashes up. Something's lost in the it's already gone. Absolutely, isn't it? So that's interesting.
It is. I think photography, filmmaking in general, it's such an interesting topic because I think, like probably any day, if I use the phone as an example again, you get like an amazing moon, and you're like, I'll take a photo of that, knowing you can do nothing with it because it just looks absolutely rubbish. Yeah. And there's a bit of a journey here really with these cameras. I've got Micro Four Thirds in the corner there, which has been fantastic actually. Not very good in low light, but outside of that, it's amazing.
I've heard this so many times.
The step up, and then I've just got, this is a work one, this S1H, which is a Netflix approved camera, and it's the first time I've used prime lenses. But what I went and done, because I was like, will I notice any difference? I don't know. And I went and filmed the same sequence. I just done something with a car because it was easy at the beach. Used all cameras, but then I rotated all the lenses round, obviously with the exception of the Micro Four Thirds. And when I edited them all, apart from maybe a little bit of bokeh, I was like, they actually don't look that different. Then if you think where the end destination is, if they're just going on Instagram, maybe not YouTube blown up, but or on a screen, I was like, you wouldn't know. Or I could have probably done that. I should have done the same on a phone actually as a point of comparison.
I mean, like there is that thing as well as like it depends where your camera is, what you're shooting, where it is, what time of day you shoot. There's all these things that like factor into like making an amazing picture. Like I know for like when I used to be an art teacher, I was like worked in a school as a teacher, and I was like looking for a way out, and I knew I wanted to kind of launch a photography career, and I was like see all these photos, like, oh, that's amazing, I can't believe they've got this, that, and the other, and I'm like, well, I'm commuting between Cramlington in like a new town in Northumberland and like the beach, but like it's the winter and there's not been any, like how am I going to be shooting like amazing stuff? So that was at that point as a life decision. We were like, I was kind of sick of just looking at all these amazing images that people were getting. I was like burning out and teaching. Just say burning out, I only did it for like 2.5 years or something, but like it wasn't, like, so we just sacked it off and went and rode motorbikes for 12 months from Chile to America. Like you could have shot that, I just shot it on like a pretty cheap full frame Nikon with like two lenses, but all of a sudden like I just felt like, right, well, I've just put myself in that situation where I'm like riding through a desert in the perfect morning sunlight, and there's like a subject, and it's like, I think you could have all the kit you want, but if you're not focusing on like what it is that you're trying to capture, and also like where you're planning on putting that, totally irrelevant whether you've got a Leica around your neck or a red camera, or like it's like what you're actually trying to capture. And that was like life changing for us, I think, wasn't it? And it was really cool to use photography as that, like, right, fucking hell, they're there. How do we get there? Right, well, let's just do it, So
I think that, like, that what you said, I think we spoke about last time, the trip you did across America, but what you were saying about how passionate you are about filming and photography and everything like that, I think you can see what was the integral part that you played in the setting up of Yonder, of having that person there to be like, right, I want to do this. Oh, I can do that for you. I can take the photos for you. Sounds like you're quite well rounded on. Yeah.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt, like in my mind, that Yonder would be what it is now, absolutely, without him. Because I'm probably more like you. I'm not self-promoting. Actually, I'm loving sitting here, just letting Tom, like, amazing. Because this is what I have in the background of my world constantly. But yeah, I'm always obviously the face of Yonder. But like, it's absolutely both of us. And the first couple of years, Tom was, like I said, well, you were permanent, like full-time photographer, self in freelance, but you were off traveling the world, and I was setting up Yonder. But like, without a doubt, everything to do with it, every visual that you see, whether it's on the website, on the Instagram, it's all Tom. Like, all the stuff. You know, I might be often the subject, but and we work together. We do work together. Yeah, true.
But yeah.
For anyone, I know obviously you've been on before, but for anyone who doesn't know or isn't aware of Yonder, can you maybe just explain what Yonder is?
It is actually sometimes a bit hard for us to explain what Yonder is, and I think it's probably the name in itself, the fact that we decided to just call what we do Yonder rather than a surf school or like a Tynemouth surf school or anything like that, is because although a lot of people do think of us as that's not the sole purpose of why we set up. And it's not where we've ended up. We wanted to keep ourselves really loose and flexible with the name and what it actually meant. So what is Yonder in a nutshell? Yeah, we are a surf school, women's focus, women forward surf school. And the idea was to provide like a different route, an alternative route into surfing. I think since we set up, there's a lot more have established since that follow that that kind of path or that. And that's really great. It's really lovely to see. But at the time of setting up, that didn't really exist the way we went about it. But also, a massive part of what we wanted to do through the work that Tom could add to it was like representation of women in surfing. So create a wider picture of what that looks like, or how we felt it should look and be represented. So a big part of Yonder was that. Okay. Getting other women together locally or across the UK and trying to like really champion and shout and, you know, tell that story that really wasn't being told. So that was another part. Huge part of it has been community, because myself and Tom have been involved with community projects on all different levels for years now. And so Yonder was always going to be about that. So we've always, what did we look through the archives the other day of like films when we first started putting on films up here? Prior to that, when we lived elsewhere, we were always putting on events as well. So what I'm trying to say is we put on events to bring communities together, because often like in the surf, that's not really where it happens. It's quite a individual thing, isn't it, surfing? You might go in with a mate, and you might see him for the odd wave or whatever, but it is really like a very personal individual journey. So like a lot of our bringing the community together is not in the surf, it's actually outside of the surf. So like through film, because we love film, either films we've made ourselves or films that have inspired us, and we've sat, watched them and thought, we want to bring loads of people together, see that on a big screen. Is anyone else going to do it? No, they're not. Let's just get that done. So that's Yonder. Anything else?
On a day-to-day basis, what is Yonder? Is like
I've obviously not said the right thing there.
But like
I tend to waffle.
It's the hard drives.
But like what is it? Right? It's a sprinter van parked outside with a bunch of surfboards in, like mostly foamies, some mini miles, some other boards, and then Sally's spending 3 to 4, maybe 5 sessions in the sea per week with women. Sometimes they can be beginners, and it's always maximum 6 at a time with the beginners. It can be intermediates, can be improvers. Well, next week we're going to Scarborough with a group of 6 women that we're going to do like 3 days just like coaching with, you know. We've just launched like a crowdfunder because of the community interest company side of what we do. So we're on the news 2 days ago teaching some refugees from El Salvador to surf, which is another part of it. And then in between that is like, well, we went surfing with Laura the other day. We managed to get some snaps of like one of the local girls who surfs, she's almost a metaphor for all the other girls that surf we didn't see in the water that day, but it's rad she was out there and we managed to represent some of that and put that out there and get those, get that story told out there. So like, I think on a day-to-day basis, it's more straightforward. It's like, it's a website you can book on. If you're quick, they normally sell out within, it's not like you can't just come on a Tuesday or a Saturday. We don't just keep going until it's bigger. It's like, it's literally like booked up 2 months ahead or a month ahead. Sally's in the water 4 or 5 times a week with 6 girls, 6 women, really drilling down and giving her version of what surfing is to them from the very beginning all the way through to, like we've done stuff from the first time people have ever been to surf, first time people have ever been in the water, all the way through to people who are trying to hang five. Do like it's that full service that goes through. So, and
we've got girls who started with us that are like scattered around like the world now, basically due to an obsession with surfing.
I was going to say on that the thing I really like that you seem to be able to do is take them from beginners and take them from whatever level they are, and then integrate them after they leave you into a surfing society or a community or. Because we had one before, wasn't it? I can't remember who it was. I think it was Shaka Surf, and she said she was always trying to get more men involved. And I was like, well, people think it's a women's club, so they're like, the guys are like, I don't think I can be involved in that. And she's like, yeah, but we want you to come to the after the events and stuff like that. And like it's that. I think you've got that thing right of that very difficult thing where it's what you're doing is for women, but you also have that next step where. It's like you've had a realization. I might just be trying to like put words in your mouth, but you had a realization at the beginning of like, it's great having a women's club, but at some point you're going to have to integrate with men, and when you're out surfing on your own and stuff like that, and you seem to have that part of it really like nailed in and like dialed down to be like, right, so this is your next step, and like off you go. I'm letting you go now, sort of thing. It's
the reality, isn't it? I think that probably comes from predominantly, and it's not by accident, definitely not. And it's because really predominantly I'm a surfer, and that this is where I come from. I come from that position as a surfer, and so like I see that world, I see that reality, and it's very much at the forefront of my mind when I'm thinking about teaching people. Yeah, I might do sessions where it's literally ocean confidence, just having fun, getting in, nothing else. But those women that come to me who want more, they really, really want to like take it further and go on that journey in surfing. It's been really clear about empowering them and understanding that and what that will involve afterwards as well. And so the sessions that we go out, and I think it's because I'm embedded in the surf community up here. I'm embedded with the lads that surf. They're the people I surf with. They're my crew. So when I'm out with the girls, I'm like, hey, this is such and such. Hey, this is such and such. And also this is where Tom comes in as well. Like he's on the surf camp, so the girls are immediately with a guy who surfs, who's talking to them on a level. It's not. I think that is another reason why we've managed to do that.
Yeah, I think what was hard. So we had Laura on from Shaka Surfer, and that was a great episode as well. And it was really nice to chat and get that kind of insight. And to use Pete's example, actually, it's quite hard, I think, as a man to give your opinion without sounding just chauvinistic and sexist. And that very example about Laura was saying, well, we find it hard to engage with men. And for us, the answer was obvious. Well, it's because you're kind of promoting a women's only, so men immediately feel excluded. But to say that, so obviously we didn't say it so bluntly. What we done was stumble around for quite a long just set of words and sentences to try and get to that in the most polite way possible, which is, I think, probably wrong in itself. But like you said it, you're a surfer. That's the key, right? Right there. And I wanted to come back to something you said, which I think I've never thought of it like that before, but it's super important. You were speaking about, the surf community piece. It's not in the water. And actually, we probably don't think of that, because how many people paddle out and think, oh, maybe it's tense. It's a bit tense around here. No one's talking to me. But it's that individualism in surfing where you could go out with your mates, but you don't want to talk to your mates. Or you go out with your mates and you're just having a laugh and you're board swapping and doing crazy things, whatever you want to do. But the actual community of it is actually outside the water. I've not really thought about it that in depth before.
No,
it can be car park culture as well. Yeah. Like some places with a car park spot, that's definitely where it all happens. It's like as you're getting out the car. Yeah, definitely. I think I think that's, for me, that's where like you can have the nod, and there are those days we talk about where like maybe longboard or foamy days where there's just a vibe and it's just fun, and there's nothing tense at all, and it's just the water does feel like that, but you're still not having like, I don't want to. Even like my mates, I don't want to sit and chat about whatever. No. I want to surf, and like 100%. I'll have a good chat. We'll have like a bit of a catch up the other day when Andrew, absolutely love Andrew, but like we could have sat there for about an hour just chatting and like letting every wave go past. Like,
shout out to Andrew.
Shout out to Andrew. We love Andrew. I do.
See you in the pub.
I like the way the mates almost came through gritted teeth. And like it was sort of a subconscious. If you see me out on the water, don't fucking talk to me.
But that's the thing, isn't it? It's like you want to be. Especially in this, on the East Coast, right? You want to be as dynamic as you can be. You want to be like, I've always felt like for us to be embedded here and to continue to be embedded here and to be like respected on whatever level that might be. You know, there's some people that I don't need respect from. There's some people I would love respect from, whatever. But like, it's being like low impact, right? It's like we have a big van with massive sign writing on it. We're very conscious of that. Like so we also have a little van. It's nice that we just chuck some boards in the back. We drop Billy off at school, or we get up and whatever, and then we just find our little spots, go surfing. You know, hey, all right, how's it going? You know, you get your waves, you go about your day, and it's like that's your medicine. You've like, you know, it's like, but being dynamic is like really good, right? That didn't work. We'll go there. That if I've got like 4 of my mates on the phone going like, right, where are you? I'm here, dude. I've got the, you know, I just want to go surfing, get some waves. You know what I mean? Like that's like, it can be really selfish like that. Maybe that's just because we're parents and we're like run a business and we're whatever. But like sometimes like it can be a burden having to like please loads of people when it's like with us, it's really cool because we're just like, hey, the surf looks good. Do you want to dive in? Or like tomorrow might be fun. And we try and like meet a friend. You know,
I mean, we're
like
definitely at that place now in surfing where it's not like that. We rely on our friends. Like where are you? Have you seen that? Right. Okay. They're up there. They've seen that. Right. Okay, cool. But it's not like at 9:00. We're all going to get in together.
Well, like 9:00 next Tuesday. We're going to surf the beach.
Which is that's what I mean. It is great, and I teach sessions where we are like that. But I'm really open about like the reality of doing things like that, and like the sea is obviously not always going to look the way you want it to look. But yeah, I do think as well. I wanted to add about the not making it exclusive and not closing it off. And coming from that surfing perspective, and I think you can add to this as well, is I do think from day one, and if we look at like hits on our website, definitely to do with the shop, but to do with like blogs or anything, like any information we put out there, it's often like not 50-50 quite, maybe 60-40. It's not far off with like male-female interactions, and I think it's because like I personally wanted to create I wanted to see badass women out there who knew what they were doing and empowered, because it just wasn't here. Like we can say, there just wasn't any women. There was definitely no women. And I was like, right, we need to address this situation. But at the same time as that, Yonder's not just, like I said, it's not just a surf school. It's about like the way we view surfing and what our vision of surfing is. And our vision of surfing, again, like isn't maybe what was existing up here at the time, which is very like shortboard competition culture. Not interested, don't come from that background, doesn't inspire me. So I think like our approach to surfing in general, the way we view things, whether it's board design, whether it's who we look to for our inspiration, is of interest to men as well. And so we kind of speak to a community of men that they haven't heard that before. So that's why Yonder is this, but it's way more than that. I think you can probably add to that.
Mitch, I thought you said something really interesting earlier, where you said like what we're trying to do.
Must have been an accident.
No, it was like what we're trying to do is like, or like what us and Laura, like again. Shout out! I never said shout out before. I'm like on Radio 1 or something. Shout out to Laura from Shaka.
Air horn.
I'm feeling the mic. But you said what we're trying to do is for women. Well, like maybe I mean, women might be the beneficiary of having that, but actually, I think what we're trying to do is for surfing. Do you know what I mean? We just looked at surfing. We just looked at it. Right, not just here, but we've travelled, you know, we've spent time in Indonesia, we've spent time in North Africa, Europe, we've been loads of places, and we like, you look at surfing, and then you look at what you have on your doorstep, and what, you know, like, that be the change you want to see in the world, like, all that, but like, it's, you know, you just see it and you go, all right, well, when we're in the car park in San Onofre last year in California, like this was happening, or like when we were in Chile, this was happening. You just see these different things, right? And you're like, what does Time Elf look like? And if we have looked back into the history, like we know all the old dudes around here, and we're good friends with them. We've asked them, who was the first woman to surf such and such reef? Who was okay. It's interesting because like there's stories, right? And there's a really rich history and a really strong culture and like surf identity of like that surf culture around here. And obviously like with the likes of Sandy, who was kind of like before Sandy was Gabe, and like we've all tip our hats to Sandy now, and we tip our hats to Gabe, and we tip our hats to Veach, and we tip our hats to all of these people who came before us, because there is the Northeast. You travel the world and they say where you're from, the Northeast England. They either go, oh, are there waves there, or they go, all right, sick. Yeah. Like they know the crack or they don't know the crack. And I think it's largely down to people like Gabe and Sandy and Veach and whoever, Evan Rogers, whoever else.
Sally.
Yeah, Sally. Whoever else. But like,
I think like some of the pictures like I've seen and like spoken to people before, like when you came on before, and they were like saying about some of the pictures which were obviously taken by you, and it's like, fucking hell, you've seen the size of those waves like that she's surfing and stuff like that. And it's just like, as soon as like anyone says your name, especially like down south where I'm from, they're like, Jesus Christ, she rips, doesn't she? Like that, nice. It's that sort of thing. And I think you've got that, what's the word? I don't know what the word is. You've got that sort of reputation of like, not that anyone's not going to take you serious, but what you're doing is serious because of, it's that weird thing of surfing, like it's as stupid as it sounds, you sort of gain more respect in surfing of like how good you are at surfing. And I think you've got that level where it's like, okay, right, we'll listen to what you're saying because you are obviously, what you're doing out there. Does that make sense? Or
yeah, and it's through like hard work and trying as well, because like I'll have my days of I would class myself as a really good like wipeout queen, definitely. Like, do you know what I mean? I take my absolute slams, definitely. But like again, that comes down to, we wanted to have representation of like women doing something, and if we didn't have Tom's interest in taking that, like no one would be taking pictures of
and also,
me
like,
doing whatever. Do you
if
know?
we don't take some control of our industry, right? Yeah. Like if we, as like, I don't know, like I'm wearing like a Discord T-shirt, which is like an old record label from Washington DC that was like all about, they're not going to put out our music, so we'll just put it out ourselves, right? And it formed this whole movement of like people just like, if we left surfing in the hands of, it would be very different. I think it'd be very, very different. And like we all have to have our little impact, and like we all have to have our vision of what it is, and like I think that's one of the things with Yonder is like we
enjoy that contribution, don't we?
We enjoy that because we enjoy consuming that. We enjoy like what like Rob Romer's doing. I love what he's doing down there. It's awesome to see that he's doing, he's making moves. Like some of the stuff that I don't know, like what Laura and stuff that Shaka's doing. That's really cool. Like some of the surfers we know in Scotland, some of the surfers in Ireland, like all these people, they've all got stories to tell. And like the surf media, the legacy surf media and the brands, they're not interested in any of that. From my point of view, I haven't flicked through a surf magazine apart from when I had some photos in Wavelength last time, which I don't think is even a thing anymore. But like, I'm not bothered about the same 5 people doing this. It's not the stories that interest me, you know. And I think like we can have a vision of what it is, and like that's what Sandy's done with Lewis Arnold. Lewis and Sandy have like been this little tight team. They're just like little ninjas who are up in the night getting these shots, and then when it drops, you watch it and you're just like, man, that's the Northeast. You've just like captured it, and that's like that's their vision. I think that's really important. Like, I think that's super important. And our vision was like just a vision that probably should include a few women. So like, how do we get them to do that? Well, probably the best way is to like teach them or give them those those pathways into it.
I think that's really interesting what you say about stories, because we found, I know we've said it before, but like we've had some like guests on that have been like really big names in like either movie world, surfing world, whatever, but the things that I find most interesting, and people who listen or now watch find most interesting, are the little individual stories about the little things that are going on in different communities around real the people. UK. Yeah, real people telling real stories, and it's that thing. And I think that's the thing you managed to capture, that it's not like it's not like the brand of like, you see a big brand and you go, this is our brand, this is our new product, this is what we're doing, like in your face like that. It's like, yeah, this is real life surfing, this is what happens today, and like, it's those real things of stories that I think it's really, I don't know, it should be commended of what you two, it is endearing of what you two have managed to create, both sides of like capture and and what you're doing, and like I don't know. I just, without trying to sound like too like, hey, you're amazing, but it is really amazing what you're both doing, and it's I think it should be commended.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like it comes, that we managed to communicate some of that feeling, but I think it's interesting, isn't it? Like I always think of surfing as like there's like a very like there's two sides to look at the UK surf industry as being like it's very top down. It's very like there's a few brands that are owned by the same distribution. They're not really looking for money from surfers because surfers aren't really interested in spending money on that stuff. As long as they've got a board and a wetsuit and some diesel in the tank, they're going to go surfing, and like it's quite easy. Like there isn't really any incentive for them to focus on that stuff because it's not going to sell them any more like low end wetsuits or, but I think, we did a sticker that just said like resist the homogenization of surf culture, because I think like it is a thing, right? It is a thing that it's easier to market something from the top down if you say, this is what you need, this is a board you need, this is this year's wetsuit, this is how we do it, this is that. Like, whereas like people like I mentioned Rob Roma, like Steve from Fringe, who you've had on, there's people all around the country who are like, no, this is our vision. Like that's the grassroots, that's the bottom up stuff. And like for me, that's where the gold is. But it's just not like I saw it the other day. Big surfboard. Someone was like Kelly Slater's retired.
You've just put a 50p in Tom, and he's going. Go on.
It was like Kelly Slater's retired, and he's released his mid length. Like, do you know? And then someone, Ryan Lovelace, I think, was underneath, just being like, dude, that's what we used to call a fun board. Do you know what I mean? And then like there was a comment underneath that on Instagram that was like said about big surfboards doing a good, like that's what it is. Big surf, big, you talk about big pharma, big tech, big surf, big surfboard. Like I think these little stories underneath the things between the cracks, they're so cool, man. There's some really
so
cool
interesting
stuff
because that line, I'm just here for the comments you always see, but actually what you get is a real world representation of probably the mass opinion. When people are saying that sort of stuff about, mate, this used to be that, or whatever it might be, you get a real taste for what... And people see through the bullshit now, I think.
Yeah, but if you've got like a surf shop, right, and it's a brick and mortar shop, and you're relying on people coming in and spending money on that surfboard there and then, like you'd be doing... Right, we were working with a shaper who, I don't think he's making boards at the minute, but like, what a mad business plan when someone goes, I need a surfboard, and you go... all right, cool. It'll probably be ready in about 3 months. Do you know what I mean? Like that's, like go away. It'll be ready in 3 months. And like, no, the business plan is, all right, yeah, cool. You want that one? It's in the corner right there. It's got a review on YouTube. You need that one. That's the one. So much of an easier transaction. But then for me, it just sideswipes all the culture and the characters and the people and the innovation that's coming from the grassroots. Like they'll pick it up when they want it. We've seen that with Yonder plenty of times.
What do you mean?
Big website for a big surf brand left our illustrations on the website
by accident.
By accident, when they were like creating the mood board for what the web's huge brand.
We were part of that mood board.
Can you take down that illustration that we paid for? Oh, sorry, you came up on the. We've had messages from people,
but basically
tiny.
Tom's trying to say that the grassroots will always inspire eventually.
Like
the top they'll take up. And that's just happens throughout, doesn't it?
We've seen stuff like that ourselves, haven't we? And we've like said something on like here, and then we've noticed something happen, and like I've said to Mitch before, that's happened. We spoke about that like a few weeks back.
Did we
and he's
start
like,
this?
It's probably just coincidence. I'm like, is it though?
It's probably not though. It's probably not. And that's the thing about Yonder is like, this is our vision. How do we portray our vision with integrity? I think that's like.
I was going to say that we don't earn much for what we do. So I think, we
can relate to that.
I do think so. Like, our shop was like way more established in the past few years than perhaps it is now, and that's purposeful from our end. Can talk about that separately. But at a point when we when people would come to me, so many people, right, what board next, Sal? What board do I need? I can be really honest about like what board I think they should be getting, because I don't need to sell them anything.
Yeah.
Or if I did, what I wanted to sell them was a really good board, so I knew that they would get better, because I'm going to see that person in the water, or they're going to come to me for the next session with that board that I've recommended. And a board makes a big difference. You can blame your equipment in surfing, and so like,
and I will
exactly. But we purposely chose to like really be very careful with who we affiliate with and who we associate with Yonder, based on like our integrity and what we believe is benefiting and supporting surf culture, or contributing is the word I was thinking of. Is that? Would you say? What were you
definitely. I think that's. I mean, it is a surf school, but that's what we're talking about when someone says, "What is Yonder?" It's a surf school. We're advocating for surf culture. We feel like that, and it might seem like it's a bit like grandiose of us or whatever, but it's like we're trying to advocate for a version of the, and it's not just us. We're in cahoots. There's other people in the world, and like who you meet.
That's lovely though. We've made so many good connections through doing it as well.
Yeah.
Like across the UK.
Me, like what you guys are is a voice. And maybe taking a stand's probably a completely the wrong thing to say, but it sounds like you're there and you're happy to call it out, or you're happy to try and do something about it, even if no one knows. And that's what, going back to what Pete said, the sort of guests that we have on that people tend to connect with. That's the sort of story, I think. And total kudos to you. So I think surfing is there's such a disconnect between abilities and the people within it. And when somebody says, what's a surfer? Well, maybe in Australia it's long blonde hair and tanned and ripped or whatever, but actually in the UK, which actually we have
purple,
we're quite we're an upcoming but establishing surf demographic. But there isn't a type. I interviewed a politician who's a surfer. In fact, I interviewed two politicians who are surfers, and you wouldn't say, I'm 22, 23 years in the army, so you can't surf, you're in the army, which I've heard before. There isn't a type, there isn't a look. There's just people who surf and people who don't, people that don't know they want to surf and maybe should try it. And I think you're representing everyone, and people that don't surf, some of the values I think and standards you probably stand for would resonate with them people. There was a huge reason for me personally, and admittedly I've stepped back now just because life's got in the way, but I got involved with Surf Federation at home because I, as a surfer, didn't feel represented as a rubbish surfer, as an average surfer. I was thought, for me, it was, when I look at that, I thought that's all about performance surfing, which I can't do. And not because I can't do it doesn't mean, don't go do that. That's obviously a huge part of any federation and any surf club. The performance stuff's great, and that's the sexy stuff, I guess. It's going to get you put on the map. But for me, it's as much about that person who's just attempted their first duck dive and they've lost their board doing it. That's a surfer for me.
Yeah. It's hard to bottle that feeling, isn't it? It's hard to bottle that feeling of actually what surfing is and what it means to different people. It's hard to bottle that and sell it. You know what I mean? Beyond I was flicking through some old magazines the other day, and it was O'Neill shops, and it was Meadowwell in Sheffield, or I don't know if there was one actually. There was one in Leeds, one in. Do you know, there was all these inner city surf shops, and you walk in there, it's your nan walks in and she's like, "Oh, cool, this is surfing." Do you know what I mean? Whereas what you say, we've always kind of said that briefing artists and stuff. It's no bikinis. Do you know what I mean? Because don't get me wrong, I love surfing in a bikini when we're in hot places. Now I don't like shorts and t-shirt, whatever. But it's not about. Not that, it's just that's our representation of surfing is God, I want some chips and mushy peas and a cup of tea, and that's the kind of feeling, isn't it? It's
I would say exactly what you just said there. That's why we haven't had that representation, because the O'Neill, I'm just saying O'Neill because I remember them being O'Neill shops, but not just picking on them in particular, but they were obviously in Leeds or wherever, and that image of surfing definitely wasn't the image that we all recognise as UK surfers.
It's funny you say
just
that,
wasn't there.
We had an idea, we may as well talk about it because we didn't get to do it. We had this idea and we weren't sure how it was going to go down, and we were going to do a photo shoot and get a load of female surfers in wetsuits and us wearing bikinis.
It was just a bit of a stab, really.
It's just a bit of a stab at the way they sell surfing to women, instead of every shoot you see, the guy's in a wetsuit, the woman's in a bikini, and it's just That's not surfing.
The lad will be like shredding on a wave, and it's always a picture of them on a wave, but the girl will just be stood with a surfboard. Wasn't there funny we won't mention the name of the magazine, but at the very beginning, do you remember them saying that was really
recently?
Funny.
That was actually
very recently.
You're probably I mean, you won't say it, but I'm happy. Stab recently picked up on that very thing. Who Stab were, by their own admission, we were happy to objectify women for marketing.
Yeah.
And they've actually recently been doing articles about that very thing.
Yeah, we watched the How Surfers Get Paid. Shout out to Sandy for the login.
I was,
But at the same time, I have no problem with anybody that looks amazing going out and using their amazing looks to make money. Who are any of us to tell somebody they can't do that? If they want to do it, they should. But it's not to say that it's such touchy territory, isn't it?
I think it's not a fair representation of people who actually surf. It's people who, you used to have those people who like drive around looking like they surf, but they don't. It's sort of aimed at that sort of market.
They're the people with the money, though.
That's what I mean. Yeah, so it's like you said, the real surfers. It doesn't really matter what they think because they haven't got the money to like spend, a new wetsuit every single season, a new whatever it is. They haven't got the money to do that. The people who are out surfing and like doing it all the time, unless you're lucky enough to get given something or in some way you get some way of getting it. If you've got to work full time and then surf the rest of the time, it's difficult. And like it brings me on to that sort of thing of like the trips you've done, and you said like it's on a budget. It's not like you're making like millions of pounds off Yonder and then you're going, right, we're going to do a trip across America. It's like everything's worked out to like, right, this is what we can afford. We'd like to go bigger than that, but actually at the same time we might not like to go bigger than that because we, it's I don't know, it's difficult.
I do think it's really interesting, like talking about the travel. If you are somewhere like, I don't know, say you're in like somewhere in Bali or whatever, and there's a load of girls out surfing. Like I think this is the thing where it does become like quite interesting because like if you're out there doing loads of physical activity, like you're surfing 3 to 4 hours a day, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape, right? Your skin's going to be pretty tanned because you're out in the sun. Like your hair's full of salt and sun all the time. Your hair's kind of going blonde. You're pretty trim, like the dudes too. The dudes are pretty ripped and like like that does exist. Like we were just in a place this winter where like everybody is like looks in the prime of their life, and I can see why surf brands would want to try and capture that and put it out there.
It was in St Andrews, just for clarity.
But like and you say like you don't blame people for trying to make money like this and the other, but like I get that 100%. I get that if that's the gift you've been given and someone's offering you, like that's cool. But like I think sometimes it becomes different. Like when you're perhaps you've got a stake in that, like as in like, hey, I've got a daughter, or hey, my son is now friends with loads of girls. Like, what's their vision of surfing going to be? Or like, why didn't I do that when I was younger? Like these things are so like nuanced, aren't they?
That comes up a lot, as in why is it so fledgling? Why did you not know there was surf in Scotland until whatever? Or why is the surf scene for women in Tynemouth or the UK, I would say in general, so fledgling? Well, if that was our vision, and that's not again nothing to talk with what someone looks like, but just like bikini wearing. If that was the vision, well, you're like, well, that's obviously not in the UK, so they can't possibly be surfing in the UK. Like, so it's just we're just trying to like create that different vision, which can be, that representation where someone can see themselves reflected way more, or the possibility reflected way more back at them. So
it maybe comes back to we spoke about it briefly earlier, but there's a perceived perception, there's a perception, and obviously there's a reality. And I guess my perceived perception of, like I said before, in 2017 I think I got posted home to Scotland, and I'd only been surfing at 5 years at the time, but always in the northeast, so I had no idea you could surf in Scotland. That was my perceived perception. Clearly the reality is a well established surf scene, and you can only know what you know. So the reason I mention that, because I think you're obviously well placed, and you might not know the stats, or you might, but we think as a demographic across the world, the female to male gender split for surfers is 70-30. I'm not sure if you know the stats.
I did find some stats earlier that I think came from Wave Wahinis, and I'm pretty sure you could look it up. There's a PDF about diversity in surfing, a report that Yvette did that we were looking at earlier. I couldn't I didn't load the stats up to put them, but I think it was less than that. I think it was like 20 something to 70 something, but it's around that.
Yeah, and I don't know in the UK. Did it give a UK?
I think that was UK specific.
That was UK.
Yeah, I think that was UK specific. Yeah. I think you have to look that research
Was
up.
yours
Worldwide,
Worldwide,
70-30,
yeah.
I think
You
it's
see,
roughly about 70-30. It was 80-20 last time I looked. It was 80-20, and then it had gone down in, I think they did it in 2013, 15 or something like that. It was around it's around 70-30, I think.
It depends what we're talking about here, because if we're talking about like brands and representation and stuff, and as to why, so 30-70 is actually pretty low still, isn't it?
Yeah.
Considering like a lot of surf media or branding is based around women and surfing, and that lifestyle image around it. The latest Billabong one that came out that everyone was talking about, but so that is actually, considering, what is it, like 49% worldwide women to 51, is that what it is, or something like that? It's really, it's like it's pretty close.
Yeah.
But
I think it'd be interesting to look at the stats for women's participation in sports in general. You know, not just like if we look at this outside of surfing.
Yeah, because it's not linear, is it? It's super
participation in sports. Yeah, there's like massive disparities in that, and then I think it's also like does it an injustice to just lump. Should we stop for a sec?
It's fine.
It's fine.
I think it also does it a little bit of an injustice to like look at it in terms of like a whole population. Like, I think you need to look at age groups. You know, like as in like how many. Because we did some stats the other day, 85% of women in the UK will become a mother at some point in their life. So it's only 15% of women in the UK are childless for their entire life, right?
Yeah.
So like, what's that drop off look like post having a baby? You know, like, for example, does that, you know, like, where does that 30% or that 25% make up? And then also, like, how many times do that 30% surf? Like, you know, what level are they surfing or what, you know, like there's kind of all, I think like that 70 to 30 or 25 to 75 stat, like it doesn't delve into like
it doesn't tell
what's
a
the
story,
drop off with young girls in sport, in, you know, in competitive sports versus surfing. Like, what's the drop off when people have kids? What's the drop off? You know, like all those kind of there's so many other stats to dive into.
That's right, and obviously that doesn't tell a story, but then I guess the end goal, I don't know what the end goal is. Is it a case, is it going to be 50-50? Because that just seems a bit irrelevant. Why would it be? Why does it need to be 50-50? Ultimately, for me anyway, it's just about empowering anyone who wants to have it, and you know, figuring out the barriers. I think that's a problem, not for women, for everyone, to allow them and make it accessible to surf. And I wonder that you're obviously well placed to speak about it. You know, what with the people that you coach and people that come to Yonder who want to surf, whether it be newbie surfers completely or experienced surfers, you know, what are their perceived barriers versus the kind of reality, what the actual barriers are? Because it is easy to come and feel intimidated for any surfer again, but what do you see sort of commonly?
What are their perceived barriers? It depends, because I work with like so many different levels of people. So like I run, you could split Yonder down the middle, really, I guess. There's the Yonder sessions where I'm working with like paying clients who are coming to the surf courses and the surf camps, or there's the CIC side of Yonder, which is specifically working with, so I work with a charity that supports women who are survivors of domestic violence. I work with Action Foundation now, formerly Nest, who work with young refugees, and I specifically work with the teenage girls. I work with a school down the road that works with like age 6, well, we do like, I do 9 to like 12, and they're struggling in school with confidence and anxiety and participation. So it depends, like that, that's different, I guess, in the sense. So I'm working, it's more like surf therapy. I am not claiming to be a therapist at all, but I am that person who can help these women and young people to access the ocean, and then all the benefits that has, that we all know about and that we get from it. And they would feel that barrier is there definitely to even just getting in the sea. It doesn't even feel possible at all. A lot of the women that I work with have lived around here for years and never even contemplated how they would even begin to know like about a wetsuit, a board, or any of it, and it's just opened up a whole new world. So that's which is really specific, and especially working with the young girls from Action Foundation, financially, there's not a chance they would ever know where to begin or be able to begin to access surfing. So that's providing free surf lessons to help them. So that's that part of it. The Yonder client base, who are like paying customers who could afford to get a board, get a wetsuit and just go for it themselves without having any support. There's various barriers, various reasons, I should say, why they would come to Yonder. But I would also say a lot of lads would want to come to Yonder too. So I will say that from the off.
Do you ever take guys?
No, I don't. I've taught a couple of guys in the past, and that was with a couple, because I knew that whatever would happen would mean that person would also get to go out more, because together they would do it together and support each other, and but I'm really stretched with the demand in a great way. So I really want to like hone in on what I feel like I want to commit my time to. Like I see value in teaching like men, I get that, but my passion is, and what I want to focus on is women, because I've seen that there's something. It's okay, where do you even start? So with some girls, possibly like myself, when I was younger, I made that decision. I had 2 brothers. Maybe that was the reason why. My dad was a PE teacher. It was like I was involved with everything. I played rugby, I did everything. I was like active. Nothing was going to stop me from getting involved with stuff. I say that, and then I can mention skateboarding and how I did feel intimidated going to a skate park. But I think there's a thing about I wanted to be good at something, and I wasn't, and it felt uncomfortable in that situation. I think surfing's a bit different because you can often hide. People don't think you can, but you can just hide out there in the lineup and no one can see. Yeah, hold your breath. Once you've caught that wave, no one actually knows what's going on beyond that. But yeah, I was more likely to just go for it and get stuck in. But I was reading about that recently and talking about like young girls at school, perhaps. There is a point where there is a big drop off, and it's the girls that are maybe taken by the PE teachers as they see that they've got something there and they can like take them and hone their skills and they can go further in that field. The ones that don't necessarily have that, then they're the ones that are going to drop off. Like they're not encouraged or supported, or like they're not given a sport, for want of a better word, that appeals to them more to like get them active. So the drop offs, like, it is really quite huge, and those ones that they see something in will carry on and like join the whatever county netball team or whatever. So there is that part of it, but a lot of the women that come to us, I feel like I'm waffling on here now.
No, not at all.
I feel like I'm losing myself. But a lot of the women that come to us, they have had that like period in their life where as a teenager they didn't enjoy that competitive element to the sport that was presented to them at school. They didn't feel like they fitted into that world, and the drop off, not just for that, it's like what happens to teenage girls like with periods. Like, it's definitely something to talk about, and like the fact that you feel uncomfortable, your body's changing, what you feel.
It does happen to boys. Obviously, it does happen to boys.
Hormones,
puberty, hormones, this, that, and the other. But just statistically, the drop-off rate, for, like the research backs up the drop-off rate is higher for girls. I just wanted to put that in there. Just
So that's happened. And then, like, if you're not starting something at a young age, so surfing, for example, like I've already said, we don't have a history or culture of young, grom female surfers, because we don't even have a history of female surfers. So we don't have that, okay, I did it when I was younger. There's a few people who could say that, but did it as younger and I carried it through. There's always that drop off, right? And then you might find it again later. But if you've had that base, then that's great. But we don't have that up here. So it's often people my age who really wanted to do it because they saw that image of surfing that we've just been talking about, but they never thought there's something that they could do here anyway, or there wasn't that route in that feels like the way we are so welcoming and so open and supportive. There's just and so don't have that culture. Didn't feel like they could access it. Now they're coming round to it, but they've got all the baggage that comes with being older, the kind of perhaps the fear or the time, you're working now, you know.
Just talking about the fact that, you know, becoming a mother
is huge. That just does not get talked about at all in sport. I don't think in general. All I can talk about is from surfing, and definitely in surfing it doesn't get talked
and
about.
That's not just like becoming a mother once. I don't know where my lisp just came from then, but like, you know, we've had plenty of clients for Yonder who have like, right, they've hit an age where they're like, right, I'm going to give this as my time to pick up that thing I did in, you know, Cornwall or wherever I was, and they get really into it. Then they have a kid, and then there's like it's very difficult, you know, and like we talked about this quite a lot in like some other work we've done, where you're all right to ask your mother-in-law to look after your baby when you're, you know, doing a work thing, or like
even like going on a night out or something,
night
out
with
the
girls or whatever. But like to go for a surf, the guilt that you feel, or if you've been working, there's something more so with a mother. I think I really do think this. Especially early on if you are breastfeeding, or even if you're not, if you've been out working, because you have to go back to work, you know, with a year usually, and you come back, you feel like you have to commit all your time to that child. I'm saying this is right, by the way, because I think you should take time out. I think more women should, but apparently the stats are like, I don't know. I wish I could figure it out, but like
show notes.
An
Maybe
hour.
we can put some stats in a show notes.
Yeah. There's like an hour. It was on This Girl Can. It was like mothers feel like in a week they have like an hour, less than an hour or something free time. Yeah. So
then you come over that, and your kid's at school, and you're like, men, and then, you know, you're pregnant again with your second kid, and then that starts again, and then suddenly you've had this, like, you know, it's like that's super difficult. And I find it quite interesting, like a lot of the lads that we know, older lads of like child, you know, like father age, like surfing something that's quite separate from their life, you know, it's like something they just go and do. You don't see it. We're the only family down
Wife's
on the reef,
at home with the kids. I've managed to get out, get myself a couple of hours or something.
How have you personally, because I've always found this interesting, so like from younger, being a dream of like, oh yeah, I'll meet a surfer girl and we can surf together and like blah blah blah, and you've obviously both done that. You've both surfed, and then you've had a child, and it's pumping out there, and you go, I'm going surfing. Well, I want to go surfing. So how does that work?
We kind of didn't. It was like an unspoken pact, wasn't it, or enforced by you? Actually, I would say as well. Oh. I think like in a really good way.
I'm cashing my ISA right now.
Yes. But I think you say this probably better than me. But I was obviously pregnant for 9 months. Like part of that, I had a broken arm because I'd snapped my arm, and so like I really didn't surf for pretty much throughout my pregnancy. I didn't surf, and then I think when you first have a kid, you don't have a clue. No matter how much someone tells you, or you think you'll be different, you don't have a clue how time consuming that is. That is a little world that is completely dependent on you. Absolutely, fully dependent on you, and your body changes, and like lots of things change. But I think I had it in my head that I would surf straight away. As soon as Bill was out, I was like, get me in the surf. And like the reality of making that happen, that wouldn't have happened basically if Tom hadn't have supported that and helped make that happen. Because there's no way that if you hadn't have been saying to me, right, Sal, you're getting up, you're going out, you're surfing, and like basically dragging us out, I'd be like, I can't, I'm too tired, I've been feeding all night, like I can't be bothered with the drama of like grabbing this child and taking him onto the reef. We were like in it together, weren't we? But I think you always say that you saw that if you hadn't done that with me, he saw the future wasn't going to be great for us. He was like took one for the team for the future of our family and as a surf family.
Do you think in a way you've actually achieved something which a lot of people try and achieve that they can't often do, which is because you had surfing as well and it was important for you to get back in the water, that gave you time with Billy to bond more than you would have if you're in a normal 9-to-5 job and surfing wasn't your thing? Because there's always that thing of like, oh, the father doesn't bond properly with the baby and blah blah blah, and you know, there's all these things, but because you had that other thing there to like, which is also a passion in your life, that by you saying go surfing, you had that time which is an important time.
So. Yeah, I massively think so. I think like
we're never separate though, me and Tom.
No.
So like it wasn't like I'm going surfing, you stay at home.
Yeah.
Tom's always got his camera, so where he wants to be, or we want Bill to be a part of that. So that was quite weird because I've not seen that before anywhere really, where like, yeah, we're heading to the reefs and I'm going for a surf, but Tom's there with Billy in the whatever, or on the backpack, or Bill's there. He's like, from day one, he's been a part of it. He's not separate from it, and neither is Tom.
So acting as a tripod.
Yeah, honestly, like
the kid's crawling through the caves at Uluwatu before he's 1 year old. You know,
Yeah,
he's been to like every surf spot. Like, you know, the kid, he's been dragged up through it. But yeah, there's something like, and the person who said this, I've actually never said this out loud before, but the person who said this, if they listen to this, they'll probably remember saying it. And this isn't like a dig at them or anything. It's just there's one way and there's another way, right? But we were at a cafe, me and Billy. He was probably screaming. He was probably pretty young. It was probably winter.
Don't get us wrong. It
cold.
was a hard first year, wasn't it? Lots
hard.
of screaming.
And it was pumping, you know, and Sally's walking through the village. I don't think I even need to paint a picture of this. If you're in the northeast and you surf and you know the crack, like we're waiting at a cafe. Sally's walking down the street through the village. And it's pumping, you know, and I'm there with Billy. It's not my shift. Maybe I had the day before, whatever, I don't know. And the guy, one of the surfers, he's there with his lads, 2 lads he's surfing with. And that is exactly why I never encouraged my wife to surf. You know, because I was like skipping that session, whatever. But I was like, no, dude, this is like, this is everything. Because like we this is what we do. Dude, there's no like, there's no going to Mallorca and an all intensive. There's none all intensive, all inclusive. I think
that's a better word. All intensive.
I love that.
It fills me full of fear. An all inclusive thing. Oh,
but
God.
like, you know, for some, dude, I'm not pouring scorn on that at all. You work hard. You earn your money. You have very little time with your kids. Society is set up in a way where we have no time with our children. You know, we drop them off at school. We work whatever till whenever. We've got out of commute. I have not got any. But for us, we're in a tent on a point break, or do you know, like we're in a counting cockroaches on the top of a hostel somewhere, wherever, because like, and you know, back to what you were saying about Sally and that, I think like, yeah, cool, the internet's like one thing, right? You can portray something on the internet, you can totally portray whatever you want, and people can buy a hook, line and sinker, or they can think it's bullshit or whatever. But like, we are the only family. Really, there's a couple. I can think of maybe a couple other people who have involved their kids, but like, he's been on the reef since day one, and we've like swapped, and it's been really hard. But all those photos you've ever seen me take of Sally, nearly every single one, apart from the water ones. Obviously, the water ones I can't do because
which is why we don't have as many water films.
You want a snorkel on.
Yeah, but you know,
one day.
Shots, all of that, everything we've ever done in the last 6 years, 6.5 years. He's been there the whole time, through whether it's north coast of Scotland in the winter, you know, he's there. Whether it's in the A&E because you've snapped your foot in half doing whatever, he's there. Like it's every single thing, it's every trip. It's it's built in so much part of our family. And like, but that first day, right, 10 days after being given birth, so it was mid-December. It was freezing cold. It was 10 days after giving birth. We're in a car park, unloading a pram, a surfboard. She's crying, he's crying, I'm crying. She's breastfeeding, and then quickly chucking the suit on, getting in the snow, getting pounded because she's broke her arm before, and then being pregnant, and your body goes through all these like changes. And it was like, honestly, it was like hellish, and there was tears. But so like, that was that one done. Do you know what I mean? And then like 2 months later, there's a double page spread in, I think maybe Surf Girl or something. And that was literally like, I remember we drove to Croyd. It was pumping. You weren't even back on shortboards. You were on like a 7.0 thing that we just kind of like the nurse board that we use when we're like injured or whatever, you know. And it was pumping. And I shot a photo of like this really nice offshore hollow right-hander that ended up being a double page spread. Billy's 2 months old in the van. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was, that's where
I
the
remember
kudos
that as well, because that was big.
And that's the that's the kudos. Like, I think like, I'm like don't like to promote myself, and Sally definitely doesn't like to promote herself, but I don't mind promoting her.
Yeah, this is why it's worked, because he's done it.
Good at, like, like you're good at promoting Sal, and Sal's good at saying like, well, this was all.
Yeah, that's starting to happen more now because it's been dragged out from behind the scenes. I'm forcing him out. Do you want to have Tom on your podcast as well? I think you should have him.
I get back in the chrysalis after.
I think it's important to point out for you guys though, because it might sound to listeners or viewers like pushy parents. I want my kids to surf, but actually, what you said to me before you started was I think that very recently he thought it was the first time he wanted to go for a surf. So it's not like you're actually going, you are coming surfing right now.
Anyone who says we want parents has not met our kid, because he is not down.
That's what I was going to say. There's a little surfer now missing, isn't there?
He doesn't listen to us.
Do you know what? We haven't even asked you about films, CICs, like the things that was the original thing to come here and talk about first of all. So first of all, tell us about the CIC, how it got set up, and why and what's going on. I think
talk a little bit more about organising files before we do.
I think we should
start at number 1.
Start on C.
So the CIC is a community interest company, and basically with Yonder, like I said, we had the client base where people were paying customers, but my background and my history is actually, for many years I worked for the British Red Cross and I worked for the Refugee Council. I did international development at university and wanted to go straight into that world, the voluntary sector, working with the refugee community in the UK rather than elsewhere, specifically because I recognised that need for support here was pretty intense. So I went into that world pretty early on. I think I had a 8-year career in that world. And so the voluntary sector, like I said, working in that field, it felt really weird setting up Yonder and not providing a service which gave people who would struggle to access it for free, basically. It didn't feel right to not somehow do that. Yeah. So pretty soon after setting up Yonder, about a year later, we set up the separate side of it, which is we just had to give it a name. It's called the Yonder Surf Academy CIC. It just needed a name at the time. Right. Don't particularly like it, but that's what it is. And so that allowed us to basically apply for funding. That's what we wanted to do. So if we could apply for funding, I knew that I could offer the service for free. And I think it's quite an unusual thing, again, for a surf school, for want of a better phrase, to be able to phone up a charity and say, hey, I've got the funding, send me the people. Usually it's like, we found some funding as a surf school, can you do some lessons for us? Whereas I was phoning them and saying, and it was such an amazing position to be in, and it's been so good, and we've done it since 2019 now, isn't it? And we've worked with so many different charities. So I always wanted to come back round to working with the refugee community because that was something I did so intensely for so long. I used to be a project manager. I ran projects all across Yorkshire and Humber, a lot of volunteers and working with mainly destitute asylum seekers, so people who have absolutely no access to public funds, no recourse to public funds, really the most excluded members of, not even recognised as members of our society, but the most excluded people in society in the UK, for me anyway, I would say. So this particular fundraiser, I managed to team up with an absolutely fantastic charity called Action Foundation, which are really, really good at getting young girls together because they've got such a great rapport with their community that they work with, and they can actually get those young girls and bring them down to surf, because that's your first step. It's really hard to get teenage girls in the sea in the first place, because of teenage girls to do anything. Well, all those things we just talked about as well, and then add to it people who feel so many reasons why they might not feel like they could surf or access the ocean. So that's been really good. So what we wanted to do, we did a few pilots over the past 3 years, and we wanted to set that up as a permanent, trying to set up as a permanent surf club. So it's Solace Surf Club, and the idea is it's going to run after school once a week. So we're going to choose a Friday. So on a Friday after school, the girls will always have this surf club to come to and can get in the sea, take ownership of it. Eventually, feel like they can kind of help with volunteering and, all this kind of stuff that have a legacy to it. Yeah. And so the fundraiser was to make sure I could get wetsuits so it's not, because obviously wear and tear of the amount of wetsuits used with this, having the CIC side of stuff and the other side of Yonder. So it's right, I really want to have specific wetsuits, boards, the rash vest for the girls, skateboards, because we include that in our service now as well. We wanted to be able to pay like the instructors, make sure like everything was in order. So we've just done a big crowdfunder really, and it's just gone so well, hasn't it?
Where's that? Where can they find that crowdfunder?
If you just Google Solace Surf Club Space Hive, then it'll come up. But if anyone, I don't know when this will go live. That might finish by then. But the as a CIC, we're always looking for support, and we're always like looking to put energy into something, whether that be surfing or whether that be skateboarding. We're really focused on the benefits of non-competitive sports, as we like to call them, the arts of fun, which we've borrowed from an American charity called Radshare. But yeah, like if anyone, there might be somebody from a brand or from a business or a company or whatever out there who's looking to, donate to some sort of charity. Like if you could just contact us at, just find us, Surf Yonder, and we can be really transparent about where that money might go. But like we've got tons of ideas of cool stuff we want to do with the kick. This Solid Surf Club thing where we had a specific crowdfunder, which is
it's had such a good response. We've had like 109 backers. Wow. We've raised about £12,000+ so far. And we've had great support from, like, obviously as a Finisterre ambassador. It doesn't mean obviously I'm going to get support. They've got the Finisterre Foundation, and they were amazing at that. They've donated a bunch of wetsuits to the project. Totally outside their remit. As an ambassador, that's not what you get as an ambassador. So like that's been fantastic that they see value in what we do. We've had Sea Monsters have sent us like loads of hangers, also just the generosity.
Distribution sent us a bunch of skateboards, which is really cool. Not just like they didn't just like whack a load of skateboards they weren't going to sell on us. We literally got to choose.
Which is really
cool.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, they're good skates.
And and people who didn't, we've had so many brands contact us and just say like, what can we give you? What can we send you? So that's been really, really cool. Really grateful to that. And it just showed us.
Restores a little bit of faith and brands and companies, because it's easy to go, well, you're just a corporate machine. But actually there is people, and I know you're probably going to say maybe some people just want to be seen to be part of this sort of journey. But actually, in some counts, people are genuine. It's hard to maybe read between the lines.
I mean, it's not like we're fighting these brands off. Like the brands are like
small,
like Sea Monster.
I was going to say,
Mark from Scotland.
He's a great guy.
He's the homie. Like he sees the benefit in it, and it's like there are people who do want to support it, but it's not like we've got every year. Yeah, we haven't got all these we haven't got big surfboard throwing us loads of stuff.
See, this is the third time this week you thought you knew what I was going to say, and I wasn't. I was actually going to say that. I'm going to dig at him because he keeps doing it and he goes, I know what you're going to say, and he doesn't. He never knows what I'm going to say. I never know what I'm going to say. But I was going to say, like what you said with the brands then, have you found like that? It is the smaller brands that have gone, what can we do to help? Whereas the big, it's that same thing. This is going to turn into me just ranting about big brands, but it's the same thing of real big brands. Often, they just don't seem to give a shit.
Do you know what I also think it is specifically was? I agree with you on that sense as well. But I think the brands that have got in touch are the brands that over the past 6 years we've built relationships with, and we haven't asked them for anything this time. So like Slow Tide, for example, we worked with Slow Tide, and they didn't even want me to, they don't even need me to say what I've just said there. They're not bothered. They just said, how can we help? I said, the girls, when I did the last lesson, didn't have towels actually, and I had to like lend them some of my towels, which happened to be Slow Tide because I have them all over the van. But I was like, if you could send them some towels, and then just send them any old towels. They've sent them like the most beautiful towels ever. What a gift to be able to give to these girls who's like literally come to
on their part. That's not like, hey,
no, they didn't ask me to say anything. They didn't.
Girls like some towels.
It's not going to benefit.
Loads of towels. It's not like it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's really beautiful, and I think it is from these formed relationships over the past few years, like Mark from Sea Monsters, Finisterre. We've worked really like extensively with them, and their trust in what we deliver, and that what we're going to deliver is pretty strong. But other brands, I don't know, I've never reached out to them, to be honest. I don't really reach out to them.
It's really a bit of a testament, I think, maybe a little bit of a full circle thing here, where I think what it highlights is that there's people who just genuinely buy into what it is you're doing. And actually, to mention Mark at Sea Monster is probably a really good example. I remember having a call like probably spoke to Mark on the phone for about an hour and a half before. I don't know if he'd launched his product, but I'd seen it somewhere before it was, it's a pretty big product in surfing now. And I messaged him to see how I could support my own platform that I've been able to grow, thankfully, through using social media. And it wasn't because I want a free sea monster. I was like, this product is fantastic. And, you say the word product, you make it sound like merchandise, but, what you've got as a product, that's just how it is. Then I believed in that, not because I wanted it, or I didn't want it, but because I thought, this is helpful. This will help so many people. It's useful. It's a great tool. And even now, I think every new year, I do a post on the 5 things I've found amazing in surfing, like product-wise, and Sea Monster appears every year. So I think what your product is, I think these brands for sure believe in what it is you're doing, and it must be nice to have somebody there, because them little gifts or whatever they are, that must be like, well, somebody believes in what I'm doing. It must be quite a nice
It's also, it's quite political what we're doing, isn't it? Like, when you turn on the news at the minute, again, I don't know when this will air, but like, we're talking about Rwanda, we're talking about small boats. It's like political, it's a big deal for a brand to put their name to something which is, which is out there supporting, and like, also like for Sally to be, for Yonder, we always have that question, right? Should we be politically outspoken? Should we speak out about, we've built this platform and, it's not like a huge platform, but for like a UK surf thing, it's pretty obscure. We're in a little village in northeast England, but like, yeah, totally. We should, if we feel like we should be. And then if brands, that's probably a huge turn off to a lot of brands probably would not go near us because, like that Billabong thing, like we'll call that out. We were amongst quite a few people who call that out, or like, a lot of like the culture vulture, what I would think would be culture vulture bullshit we see in surfing, I just find abhorrent. They're not going to come near us because they know that we find that abhorrent, and then that just weeds it out, right? And then you've got companies who are like, hey, listen, Finisterre, obviously, like, we're biased. Sally's a Finisterre ambassador. They help us a lot as a family, but like, they support UK grassroots surfing in an environmentally conscious way, and they portray surfing in a way. If that changed, we would sever ties. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like that. It means more to us than like anything else does. And like with Mark from Seamers, that's political for him. He could people could see that he supported refugee girls in surfing. They'd be like, well, that's the last sea monster I'm buying. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but I think it weeds him out, and it's really cool. Like,
shame Mitch doesn't know how far he lives. Mitch doesn't know how far he lives away from him in Scotland, though, isn't it, Mitch?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm glad you mentioned Finisterre, because I should probably point out that I suppose it's not relevant anymore because I'm not doing that job, but it's the last time I'll ever invite Finisterre to come up on the VIP at the 1 o'clock gun in Edinburgh. So I used to go hang out at the Finisterre store. I always had a great relationship with Finisterre. And, when I was up doing that job, obviously the Finisterre store right in Edinburgh. So you turn up at first thing in the morning, get the 1 round of ammunition out. You just wait until 1 o'clock to obviously fire the gun. And I would just go hang in the Finisterre store for the day. So I invited them all up, the whole store up on the VIP. They get behind the gun. I don't know if you've been to the castle, but it's a massive tourist.
I've only just clicked what on earth you're talking about, to be honest with you. But you're talking about I was like, what is this 1 o'clock? Got you. Totally got you.
1 o'clock every day except Sundays.
Got you.
It's in Edinburgh Castle. Huge, thousands of people go there. So I invited the Finisterre guys up, and it's expensive to go and
that's how we grew social media. Just
firing business cards over Edinburgh. Follow the Scottish surfer. And I invited them up, but because we spent so long chatting surfing, and it's really a metaphor for surfing, that I almost missed it. I went up late. I'd forgot to take the gun covers off and all this sort of stuff. So as much as it was nice to host you guys, you're never coming back with me.
Too much surf talk, There
was something, I don't want it to slip my mind, because it was something you mentioned a while ago, and it's been in my brain ever since. I wanted to talk about it, because you spoke about sport when you were younger and having brothers and stuff. I think you said you were quite good at rugby, or you played rugby. And I think there's a bit of it's a problematic approach, and I don't know if it's society or if it's in the curriculum, but a school teacher going, oh, that kid's good at rugby, that kid's good at football, let's push them to football. I feel like that's actually backwards mentality, and I'm gonna really do this injustice, but I'm gonna paraphrase this thing I heard recently, and it was, so this guy, wherever he was from, he applied to NASA, right, and it to be obviously an astronaut, and it's a massively stringent process to get there, and he'd done whatever he was asked to do, and then applied, and then they said, you can't do it because you can't speak this language or whatever it was, right? So the guy went away and learnt 4 languages, reapplied, and said, no, you can't do it because you've never flown this type of aircraft, for example. So he went away and he learnt to fly that. So this went on like 3, 4, 5 times, but these serious things, you don't have a PhD, you went away and got a PhD, all these things. And the point is that because he, on paper, didn't have that natural ability, or what they called the natural ability to see, what was missed was the fact that that individual had the ability to learn it, which is what I think we miss in society, because you appear to be good at something, doesn't mean the person who's shite at it can't learn to be the world's best. You know, and I think there's a bit of a backwards mentality there. And just because you mention it about sport, I think that's a problem. Obviously, surfing's not on our curriculum the way it is elsewhere. But the point is, if we enable the pathways and make it accessible, that's how you grow. And not just performance level, on every level. And the likes of the stuff that you're doing gets bigger and bigger, and more people get to hear that what started off as a small voice, maybe somebody with an opinion, suddenly becomes, well, it's not an opinion, this is now the reality. So I think we look at that sort of stuff backwards in society, and it's hard to step back, isn't it? And maybe just appreciate what's going on, because ultimately none of us know. We don't know the answers. We can, and even the problems, you know, there are perceived problems, because if we don't know the inside knowledge, it's quite hard to get to a solution without knowing what the fundamental problem is, or where it lies, or how to fix it. But for sure, you guys are certainly that voice, and I think representing a lot of people, hopefully, that are listening and can speak it for them, and you seem to be doing it super eloquently and much better than I ever could.
I'll probably just blown it by running my mouth on this podcast.
No, he's been fine.
It's all part of it. I think it's interesting, isn't it? Like I saw like a video recently that was about, is skateboarding a sport? Or is skateboarding
I wondered if you'd bring this up.
Form? It was just something I was thinking about, you know, and like, because we often think about that, like the way that we try to portray surfing. I think personally, like if you portray surfing as a sport all the time, in terms of those gender barriers that were perceived or not, whatever, you know, you're always competing against each other, right? There's something I think that has attracted a lot of like males to what we do here, is that we don't focus on that competitive side of it at all. It's about the experience. It's about that kind of like the art form of it and stuff. And I think that universally applies to a lot of people. But yeah, it was interesting. It was like, is skateboarding a sport or an art form? And I've never heard that summed up in any way before. And I think we talk about it all the time. Steve was just talking about, is surfing mainstream on social media the other day, this and the other. But it was basically a guy who was like, for the kind of less than 1% that compete in skateboarding, there's no doubt that skateboarding is a sport. For like your Nigers and there is no doubt skateboarding is a sport, but it's not always a sport. But it is always an art form, you know. And I feel like that's kind of representative of surfing as well. Like surfing, yes, it is a sport. You know, like we just watched like Ben Skinner and Evan and you know Lola and Emily. You know, we're supporting them because we, you know, obviously like that's part of our culture. We're interested in that stuff. We watch it, but like for them, you know, they compete maybe, I don't know, however many times a year, but they surf loads of times a year. You know, and like. Sure. God, you know what? Actually, there's
when like it's not competitive.
When it's not competitive, all, and then it's expressive, and then it's an art form, and then it's like. So I thought that was really interesting. I also just wanted to. I know we're running out of gym. Our friend's got a kid right now as well, but you know, like when you talk, you talked about 70-30 split in surfing, right? Like, how much of a stake do you think that women have been given in surfing, like as an industry, as a voice? Do you know what I mean? Like
I'd say probably even less than 1%.
Like that's interesting, isn't it? You know, like
just looking at it as a general, I'd probably say it's less than 1%.
I reckon so. And like you know, so that 70-30 is like one thing, but like who's pulling those strings and making those decisions, and who's deciding where that money goes to, and who's, you know, like that's super interesting. Like, and we've been talking a lot recently about how, like, if you open up Yonder's explore page on Instagram, right, the message from whatever algorithm or from whatever brands or people is super clear that surfing, you can be a girl and surf, but you're probably best off being on a longboard. Yeah. And then if you're a dude and you rip, shortboard. It's so
that's the latest thing that we're like.
These things don't stop. Yeah, there's more women and girls in surfing. Maybe some of the surf mags, although we were talking about it earlier, you said we were going to say one thing. We were going to say something else. It was an intro about how surfing had totally changed. It's not about bikini and this and that. But then all the adverts, that was the editorial intro to the magazine, right? The adverts, no, they're still bikini. Do you know, like that's because that's the money. Do you know? And so like, what stake have women been given to make those decisions within surfing? How is it, is it 70-30 or is it 25 or is it is it 50-50?
No, it's well less.
Yeah, and like those industry.
I'd say it's obviously less. Like as in like if you just look at it, like even if you don't know anything about the surfing industry, you could just look at it from the outside, and you'd say that.
Do you look at we look at skateboarding all the time? Because skateboarding there's been this huge it's like the girls. It's not perfect. It's just. It's ahead of surfing, right?
So we've had this before, right? And I know where I'm going to do you now. And I know where you're going with this, because if you look back about 20 years ago in skateboarding, there was no sign of girl. There was a few odd girls here and there. There was no sign of it. But over the last sort of 20 years, they've come up more and more and more. And now they're at a point where they're starting their own companies, they're doing their own things, and now they're exploding. And I think the same is going to happen in surfing, where it's going that way, where it's coming to the point where there's more and more women starting their own things, and it's going to get to that point where it just explodes.
But I wonder whether surfing needs to hold on to that. I think I don't know if you're aware of Mimi Noop. She's a skateboarder. She started her old, what they call blog cam videos.
Yeah, blog cam.
All of the girls that we're seeing leading the industry today, from Nora with her Adidas, I don't know, whatever.
They all started there, didn't they?
She's on there back in the day. You're talking like Lizzie, who's got the first Vans female pro model shoe.
Yeah.
You've got all but right now, I think that we're in this interesting position where you can separate surfing into surfing and girls surfing if you want, or you can just talk about it as surfing. But I think we're in this super interesting point where we actually don't think really we've got an industry as a girls surfing or a female surf industry. I think it's more of a culture. Would you agree with that? It's more of a culture than an industry, and I think that's something which is actually super special.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Super grassroots.
Yeah.
Super grassroots at the minute.
Something I'm going to jump back and forwards twice. I think something really interesting you said before was that skateboarding, and I think surfing as well, attracts a lot of people or a lot of young boys, which might be a reason that there was more of men or boys to start with, because it attracts the people who aren't interested in that competition side of football. And I think that's why, I know for when I was younger at school, I played football for a bit and stuff, but it never really I did it because my mates did it. Yeah. It never really interested me. And then when I started to do skateboarding, I was I think I was skateboarding, I was rollerblading at the time, not that I'd openly admit that I just have, but I was rollerblading, putting flints in my stopper so it was sparking and stuff like that. And then I was skateboarding, I was going surfing, bodyboarding, whatever I could do that was different, and in that I was always into that. And I think that sort of, as you said that then, that was just a click of I wonder if that's why there's more boys that is it fair to ask is it fair to ask because if I'm asking, it's very rare that I've got a man and a woman or a man and a woman that you can ask, where you could get even split of a question where is that the same for girls, where a girls' sport's teed up to be all competitive stuff, but when girls don't want to be involved in that competitive side, they go and do something different where it's not going in, whereas boys go, I'm going to go skateboard, or I don't know, that's
No, that's a really good question. I would say that definitely girls who are not interested in the competitive side of stuff, that's what you're offered, isn't it? Your netball at school, it's hockey, netball. I think they do a lot of football now, they're your main ones. Tennis, it's all competitive. There's elements of dance. That I did dance when I was younger, and I think lads would have felt like they more so couldn't do that as well. There was that divide. Definitely, the room was full of girls and the odd guy. As for skateboarding and surfing, it is interesting because it is non-competitive, but there was something definitely. So if I remember specifically wanting to learn to skateboard, but feeling very intimidated. Not that the boys at the skate park purposely made me feel intimidated. Now, I have heard others say that they did get that experience. I didn't get that experience. It was in my head often, and it's about my place in society, where I belong, what's right for me, and that's definitely a projection that you're brought up with as a woman, as a girl in the UK, about your place and what's expected from you, especially as an 80s kid. But I felt very intimidated, so I'd go really early in the morning to the skate park where no one could watch me. I didn't want to be seen, and that's something about being embarrassed.
A girl that skates in Bristol's just posted the exact same, literally word for word of what you've just said.
Was this back then, or is this still now?
This is now. She said she'd rather go early in the morning.
So I had an offer of, so with our surf courses, because Tom's GB skate coach, it's been really good for us to, when we have the days where you just cannot get in the sea and the land is dry, we're doing a skate session, and it is a skate session, not a surf skate session. I can get into I can see the value of that, but no, we've got surf skates and skateboards, but we do a skate session. And with the girls, the young girls, I'd message them, say, right, we're going to do a skate session, and pretty much
these are girls who come surfing weekly for a period.
They're like 12, 13, 14, 15. About 5 of them, their parents said I can't get them to come. I was like, out of 6. I was like, what? Like a skate session? This would be fun. And then I thought, that was really weird. Okay, I'll have to think of something else. And then I was like, can I just ask why? They don't want to go anywhere near a skate park. They're really, really nervous about going to a skate park and being seen and not being good at something, or not being able to do it and being laughed at. So that was really interesting. I'm not saying I have the answers, but that was a direct response from the girls. And so we're like, we're not going near a skate park. We're going to be down on a bar where no one can see you on the Broadway, where it's really early in the morning as well. And we'll just kind of, And then they all came and they loved it. And they were like, can we do more? Can we do more? Can we do more? And we're going to be setting up. So another thing we're setting up to try and address this skate park kind of nervousness, or I don't know, change the kind of the narrative there a little bit. We're setting up Shred Your Girl Skate Club, aren't we? Which we'll do every Tuesday.
We're going to try and get in there early. We've opened it up to kids in Billy's class. We take
6-year-olds,
them anyway.
6 to 16.
You know, recently we've been saying on a Saturday morning we're going to be at the skate park. If any of the girls and boys come down, cool. But we're going to do a thing. This is part of our remit through Yonder. We want to do that, looking at the stats and the research, and be like, okay, cool, how can we get more girls involved in this? And then maybe they'll come on a Saturday to the drop-in thing where we're just there. Skate, I think it's super interesting that as a lad who's used skate parks since being probably 11 or 12 years old. I think Urban Flight opened in Norwich where I grew up when I was about 12 years old or something, and I just don't think we had the language or the ability to know how to deal with girls showing up at the skate park, because it was so rare. It was there's a girl here. Does that mean we have to behave differently? And it doesn't necessarily. But it was totally, you could totally be an ally for a girl being at the skate park, but it was just whoa, you just didn't see it.
Yeah, no.
I remember exactly Charlie. Thing, shout out to Charlie if she's listening to this, who used to skate at Hyde Park skate park in Leeds when I was at art school there. She was awesome, and I don't know what her. I'd love to know now, doing what we do and have done. I would love to know what her experience is. But personally, I go skating on a near weekly basis. My little skate crew, apart from when it's Billy and Sally, is Jamie and Alethea, right? Jamie Allen, a friend of mine, he's a really good skateboarder. He's amazing. And Alethea didn't used to skate when we would skate together 10 years ago at the indoor park in Shields. She never skated, and then
all through her childhood she desperately wanted to.
Yeah.
And now if I see on the gram that Alethea's done a feeble to fakie, I am breaking my wrist to do a feeble fakie, because I'm so inspired to skate with her. We're developing a language all the time. As a 30-something-year-old man, I'm developing a language. Oh, close a girl at the skate park. Go to the indoor park. There's a 13-year-old girl from Ashington. Our friend Ted, shout out to Ted James. He helped her drop in last year. He helped her drop in last summer, right? And we see her at the skate park. I don't even know her name, but she knows that when me and Mike are there and in our late 30s and early 40s, if she wants to ask how to do a rock and roll, she can ask us. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just like, yeah, cool,
I
like
love the
whatever.
fact that
Like,
you're saying words and he's not got a clue what
well,
you're on about.
I'm just waiting to jump in because actually it's probably a good point of balance here. Is the only non-skateboarder in the room, and you know, hopefully I'm not going to come across I'm just being argumentative for the sake of being. If I do, come at me. No, but I do surf skate, and I have been to quite a few skate parks and indoor skate parks. Everything you just described about being super intimidated or even not wanting to feel like you're doing it wrong or whatever, I feel that every time I go to a skate park, whether it be only kids in there or adults and, you know, men, women who are absolutely challenging. I feel that now as a 41-year-old man. I feel that exact thing. So there's a point of balance, and that's a perceived perception, because the thing that, no, I couldn't say it, I do know, the thing that I'm often told about skate parks is actually they're probably the most welcoming and friendly and helpful. Actually completely separate to surfing. People will just assist you regardless of what you look like,
100%,
but and how to do something.
Similar to surfing. Like I can show up at
That's right. Yeah, carry on.
I can show up at any skate park, right? And I know I can do a mediocre backside slash grind and a little rock and roll or a punt round the ball. So I'm not bothered, you know, because I've like put that time in when I was younger to get to a certain level, and now like I just don't really care. Like we were in California this year, I was just like, any ball there, going, like I'm all over it. Like, but I know that that's an extremely privileged. Like I learned all those foundational skills, and I was like, the 12, 13, 14 in an environment which is like way easier for me. It's hard to come to something later on in life, you know, especially if you're, you know, trying to surf skate. You know, you're trying to zig, they're trying to zag. It's kind of hard. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's intimidating, but like, I think
I definitely won't. Like, I'll turn up, and if it's busy and I see that everyone's like really good, I'm just like, I'm just gonna sit here. If it's quiet, I'm all over that place doing my little whatever. But yeah, I agree with you. I think
I love it when I get it to myself.
But
like
it's
amazing. Yeah.
Skating.
Yeah.
I think it's something. I think it's something we have to deal with ourselves, isn't it? It's something that it's a baggage we bring, and
they probably don't care. They're probably just they probably don't care.
I do think skate park etiquette's a thing as well, though. And the skate, I'm not saying this has anything to do with you, but I do know that the surf skate etiquette has brought an interesting element to the skate park, because there's it varies, but when we've sat and watched, it tends to be if you're at a skate park, you can kind of see what's going on. They're working on that. They're working on that. They're working on that. They're doing that run on repeat.
That's what I kind of meant by you're trying to zig while they're trying to zag, like literally in a literal sense. Like we're, you know,
you've got there's that. I think it's just another thing. You can't put surf skates and skateboarders together, because you've got that between skateboarders, BMXers, rollerbladers, scooters, and now there's another one in there as well, surf skates. And I think there's that, you know. But
it can gel. It can work.
It can. But I think there is the difference, because there's a different style in it. It's like putting a longboarder and a shortboarder on the same wave and going, why are you getting in each other's way because of what you're doing? There's the way everyone moves in that park is different, and I think that's why there's. Although
that wave is there for either person to perform their art.
So I know that, but it's the reason you don't both go on the same wave at the same time. But I think it's an interesting dynamic how everyone moves differently in that circle, but there's sort of stay in their own lane as well. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Let's not pretend here that surfers and skateboarders are like totally, you know, this vision of like, hey, yeah, we're all like chill. Like, we're not, we're not, right? No. We're not. Like,
in fact, possibly, you know, the other end of the spectrum.
But it's always been that way. Yeah. Like, if I skateboard and you turn up on your roller skates, do you know? Like, I'm like, dude's he's on his roller skates. Like, you know, that's like. But then the roller skate is like going, oh, that kid's on a fucking scooter. Like, we have this thing, like bloody longboarders, and then they're like, oh, look at that miserable short. Like, we're all trying to like. There's totally, but I think that does come down to the fact that we just care. Yeah. Do you know, like we do just kind of care. Like it goes back to that thing of like, this is our vision. My vision of skateboarding is not that dude from Instagram. Shout out to Richie for the memes, who's doing all the things. Do you know, like that's not my vision of skateboarding. That makes me, I know it's like the worst.
You know, I'm aware that you've got your son to pick up. We're running out of time. The cameras have probably stopped because we've been talking for like. Because we've been talking for like 2 hours.
That is a habit we have, so sorry.
I think we could carry on going for hours and hours. We haven't even got on to Nike SB yet.
No. You know what? No.
So I guess to round this up, and a massive thanks for explaining what's going on. But maybe just for anyone that wants to find you, where can they find you on social media and on websites, etc., and where can they come and find you in person?
For me, if you're interested in East Coast straight edge hardcore and mediocre skateboarding, you can find me at Tom Bing Photo on Instagram. But we have got a new thing, Someday Sessions UK, which is live events around the north.
I really want to talk about that really, really, really quickly, and that's really, really valid. We're bringing Lucy Small, aka Saltwater Pilgrim, over for our first discussion, film night and stuff. But through Someday Sessions, we're going to be doing loads more film nights.
Like ones within skateboarding, ones with like alternative living. We're going to be just trying to bring people together through the medium of film and discussion, and that's going to be at Someday Sessions. Subservice Someday Studio UK on Instagram. You can find it.
Is that all going to be around the north?
It's all going to be like, it's linked to Yonder. It's like it's so that's me, Tom Bing Photo, Someday Studio UK.
At Surf Yonder, that's the best place to find me. Oh, and at Sally McGee Surf, is that what I am? Yeah, Sally McGee Surf. Yeah, that's where I just put any surf shots on there. But yeah, website, just Instagram is probably the best place to find us, really, isn't it? And chat to us. But we've got www.surfyonder.
You won't find us on TikTok.
I'm waiting for Over Yonder to start, so
Over Yonder.
I can come to the integrated group.
Be Yonder.
Over Yonder.
Be Yonder,
Beyonder. Yeah, Beyonder, even better.
No, thanks a lot for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been lovely to
much.
chat to you as well, yeah. Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, cheers for that, guys. If you're still listening at this point, well done. But it also means it was a really good episode, so fair play to you for sticking with it.
It was, and I particularly like the fact that I'm now going to call people that go on all-inclusive holidays that they're going on an all-intensive, because it's such a better name, and it's so much more apt for what it is.
I mean, an intensive holiday is probably pretty cool.
Yeah,
it depends what you're doing. Like, I've done a couple. In fact, I've done 3 operational intensive holidays.
Yeah, well,
twice in Afghan.
Different type of holiday, I think, than the all-inclusive.
Intensive, all the same.
But the all-intensive, yeah. And I mean, that was great. Like covering everything from their CIC charity to what they're doing with women and surfing, like refugees and just everything that they do. And I think they stand for. And like they were saying, they've got a political voice as well of what they believe in, and some brands will pull away from that. And like if they haven't got control of what you're saying or what they can get you to say, and it looks like the ones that have stuck with them and the ones that are there with them and helping them out, and like they said, donating stuff to their CIC for the girls they're doing with, is just fair play to all those people they mentioned. And really nice couple, made us food, which is more than some guests do that come on. I think that should be a new thing. We should say now to guests, when you've got guests coming on the show, we should be like, you've either got to give us food or buy us stuff.
I mean, that's a great shout. We could tell them the food we've been made already by other guests. Maybe that could be one of our features. Rate the guests feeding. Rate the guest feeding skills.
I mean, because that curry they made, that dal they made, was banging. That was really good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
You'd have like, I don't know, rate Ben Gravy's tomato soup. You're like, it was a great guest, but shit at feeding us. That could be a new thing.
Yeah. So
but They live and breathe that as well. They live and breathe what they preach, if you can call it that. I actually met up with them not long after. They were up on just a wee tour. They were visiting Scotland with their kid Billy, who is the coolest kid ever. I should have grabbed it. He actually knitted me. They were staying in a van, right? And Billy, a kid after my own heart, he was just cutting about the car park on the beach in bare feet. He doesn't wear shoes.
Yeah.
Proper long hair, skateboards like a legend, surfs like a legend. He's tiny. And he made me this little, I don't know what the proper term for it is, but it's supposed to keep like demons away. It's like a little square knitted with a pattern in it. And I'm thinking, the thing must work, because ever since he made me this demon, keep aware thingy, I have not spent any time in person with you. So it must work. It must work.
Yeah.
But
is it supposed to ward
cool
off
family.
evil spirits? Is that what it's supposed to do?
Yeah.
Little kids. Yeah, what's that, mate? Yeah, it's a demon keep awayer. Yeah, as
A
you
demon
described
keeping
it.
an awearer.
Yeah, like ward
It's
off
a
evil
mouthful,
spirits,
but it works.
Yeah.
But no, they are. So they were up, and actually they were in a local beach town to me. So I was, what was I doing? I just finished work and was about to go do a 20 miler on my bike. And I was like, they said, we're round here. And I was like, oh.
Did you offer them a place to stay and obviously food and everything to repay the favour, did you?
Yes. No, I think I did invite them round. I can't even remember, but they were set up, they were doing their camping thing.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to sort of hook up with people who you didn't know.
Yeah.
Like out with the show.
Yeah.
Even though it's super fun when we do it in the show, but it's kind of like a new sort of thing there, a friendship, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it was just really cool. Just a cool family, and they genuinely believe in what they talk about. And I like it. I was genuinely, before I met them, I thought they might be a bit preachy, just because of what I was aware of and, some of the things I've seen. And honestly, they couldn't have been nicer. Like, there's nothing worse than somebody who has a belief in something which some people could call it's controversial, it's against the grain, or whatever it is. And I'm not saying it's any of them.
Yeah.
But the people who have that kind of mentality, but they just preach it to you all the time, and it's all you ever get. It's the worst ever, and they're not like that at all.
Yeah, I think that's that thing. Like, they've got their opinions and their beliefs that they'll share online and on Yonder and on their own profiles and stuff like that. But they don't force their opinions onto you. It's nice. It's very. I think it's very skateboard mentality. That is conversations I've had with skateboarders and stuff in the past. I'm just saying that because this is what I know. But like through conversations with like different groups of skaters, you'll have different people with different opinions, and a lot of them won't force their opinion on you, but they'll tell you their opinion, and then it's open for discussion, like an adult conversation should be, like
that's
like
it.
I believe this, well I believe that, all right, well you tell me why you believe this, and if I think what you believe is better than what I believe, I'm quite willing to change my way of thinking to what you're thinking. You know?
Definitely, and I think that's an adult approach. I've said this loads. I think this became a line for me, I swear, sort of during or post-COVID, when the world just seemed to implode and everybody was against everyone.
Yeah.
And it was like, it became, just because you didn't agree with someone else, it doesn't mean I hate you.
Yeah.
Just because I disagree with your opinion, just I disagree with your thoughts on independence or your thoughts on COVID and all these other things, doesn't mean I dislike you. We're allowed to disagree. And actually, if we all agreed, nothing would ever be better or be good or be right. There's nothing wrong with that. And I will always be somebody who, if you were to argue something different to my opinion, and I think, actually, he's right, I will happily change my opinion. The only thing, I'll caveat that with one thing, is that I won't change my opinion in a moment. Like, I will argue to death with you. But just to save face. But the second that conversation comes up with someone else, I am 100% using your argument as mine. And I'm owning it.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Because it's like opinion based. Like a lot of people think you're a twat, but I think you're all right. So it's just one of those.
Well,
it's one of those.
Opinions and arseholes.
We
and
should
all
also ask where you're recording at the moment, because anyone that's
this is
watching
funky.
this.
Yeah, this is a funky setup. I mean, I'm not finished yet, as Pete obviously highlighted to the world on the last episode. I'm in the middle of converting this beast, this man. I'm now inside a pretty large man as we speak, as you can probably see above me. I don't quite know what this camera can see. Well, I know it can see me. But
hopefully this is just half a head.
Yeah, it's just my face chopped off here. But I've done all the thermal insulation. I have done the sound deaden.
Yeah.
Which removes the vibration from the panels. And then I've got a vapor barrier, and then I've got a thermal fleece liner, which is what this snowy looking Christmassy stuff above me looks like. And do you know what? Honestly, the difference in the sound in this van internally is amazing. Like, I feel like I'm driving in a Bentley. And then I realised people are staring at me like a van driver. But, you know, like, it's so quiet.
It's
really
driving
nice.
along. They're staring at my Bentley. Oh, no, I'm in the van.
I'd much rather this than a Bentley.
Yeah.
It gives me a lot more things to do. But so we're getting there. So everything's out. I've done all the panels have been off. There's one little unit over here I need to take apart, and I don't want to because it's got all the electrics in it. But yeah, the van's doing epic. Still not sold the other one. But it is away with Andy Haddon this weekend. Him and his brother are. In fact, I should shout out to Far Cabinet Makers, good friend Fraser. He makes wooden surfboards up in Fife, and Andy and his brother. It's his brother's 40th. Scott. They are for the weekend living in the vans on the beach, and they're making wooden surfboards from scratch, which I think
cool.
And that's Andy's 40th present to his brother, which I thought that's actually a really cool present.
Yeah.
So shout out to Fraser. So if you are looking to build a surfboard sustainably, give Fraser a shout if you're up in Fife.
Yeah.
He's really cool at what he does.
It's your birthday the other day as well, wasn't it?
Maybe. I had a great birthday. I had loads of emails I dealt with, and then went to bed.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. Mate, adult birthdays are shit, and it's a fact. But I've had the pleasure of 24 years or 23 years of the army fucking me over on my birthday. So I'm not interested. For a long time, I've not been fussed about my birthday, thanks to, you know, being on exercise, being deployed, doing something shit that you don't want to be doing on your birthday.
Well, my birthday falls in between Christmas and then end of January, and it's right in between where everyone's never got any money because everyone gets paid early before Christmas, and then it's before the next payday. And it's just like I don't know, about 15 years ago, I just went, yeah, fuck it, I'm not bothered. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. It does get rubbish when people aren't giving you cash and an envelope. It starts getting boring. Yeah.
Especially once all your relatives are dead. You don't get anything anymore.
Yeah. Well, I was filming yesterday at the beach. Our Lost Shore surf coaches were just out doing some beach training. Oh, and do you know what as well? Massive shout to Narrasa Surf School out in Ireland, if anyone knows it. Like, them guys are epic, absolutely epic. Anyway, our surf coaches were out doing some training yesterday. They were just going through ABCs of surf lessons and all that sort of stuff and getting in the water. And I had the drone up because I was filming some specific things. And one of the surf coaches, it was quite a chunky day. It wasn't like big, but it was quite heavy.
Yeah.
I had a really nice ride, and it was quite dumpy on the inside at the Old Kent Road. And you know when you get that, like you're in between sort of either kicking off the back, jumping over the top, or trying to dive through it?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to overlay the video, like, because that's exactly what he done. And he was obviously that indecisive moment and tried to do all three versions of a kick out. And honestly, it was like by chance, I didn't even mean to film it. It was by chance I caught it on the drone. This wipeout. Oh my God. It was, everyone was going, oh! It looked horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
Hey, speaking of overlaying footage, you can overlay that video that I just sent you, because I did stuff. It's not surfing, but I went skating. It's good.
Well, you sent me a video on WhatsApp, but I bet you didn't press the HD option, did you, when you sent it?
Oh, I didn't know there's an HD option on WhatsApp.
There is. So if anyone that doesn't know that now, if you don't know, when you send photos or video by WhatsApp, it loses loads of clarity and it looks shit. There's now an option that says HD when you go to press send, before you press send. It still loses clarity, but it's better than it would have been.
Right.
And anyway, speaking of skateboarding, I was invited last Saturday to the Skateboard GB Nationals in Glasgow.
Yeah.
From Biscuit Tits.
Yeah.
Adrenaline athlete Alan Bissiker.
Hey.
He does a lot. Oh, nice! You're wearing an Adrenaline athlete hoodie. Nice. And I've never actually been to a skateboarding comp before. He's done a lot of work with Skateboarding GB, so it was pretty cool. He was up in Glasgow, went and said hello. And man, I've got to say, like, I feel like a lot of other sports could learn a lot from skateboarding. I've not really been round it loads, but just the level, and I know I hear people talk about this all the time, how friendly skate parks are and all that sort of stuff. But like how friendly, how welcoming, how supportive, how engaged the whole event was. Like from every element of the support crew to the staff to the competitors to the families and friends and everybody else watching. I was just like, man, this is this just isn't football.
Yeah, no, it's completely different.
This isn't England fans abroad.
Yeah, this is what
it is. It's just
so
really
this is
cool.
what I say a lot of the time with like the skateboard community. I've heard people say before, if you're a skateboarder, you can go anywhere in the world, and you can just meet other skaters. It's not like that football thing. You go somewhere, or like you've got that thing to talk about. But it's also, I've heard people say, like, you go anywhere in the world, you'll always have somewhere to stay, because you'll meet a load of skaters, skate with them, and they're like, where are you staying? And you're like, oh, I don't know, or, you know, I'm staying here. They're like, oh, no, come and stay with us. And, like, you know, it's always that mentality, and, like, it's never, it's always, there's always stoke for people of what they're doing. It's always like someone does something, and you know how hard it is to do that, and, like, these tricks, like, you know, like, you'll see something that's filmed, like that thing I sent you. In all fairness, I did that in like 3 goes the other day, but I've done it before where I've tried to film a trick, and I filmed it like, you know, like hundreds of times trying to do something, and then you get that one thing, and that's it. So like you've got that thing of, you know how hard it all is, and it's like a mutual respect. And I think Rodney Mullen does one, which is, like, if you don't know him, it's the guy that basically invented all skateboard tricks, or pretty much like loads of them.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, he's got a TED talk, and there's one about skateboarder mentality of like falling down and getting back up, and how it transposes into life. And like a lot of skateboarders, if they get knocked down, they'll just keep getting back up and keep doing it. And how, it's a really good TED talk actually. And there's something to be said about like skateboard mentality of, I don't think I can actually say, no, I can say I've met a few that are twats, but it's the same as anything, you get the odd twat here and there. But
of course.
Most people that I know that skate and have skated for a long amount of time, they're all really sound, really nice people.
But do you know what it is as well? Do you know why I realised? Because it was a full day event, how I realised the community is because
they're all like me, and you're like, oh, I like these people. They're all like Pete.
No, it was about 2 hours into the event, like a full day event, and it was a sudden realisation that I was the only person booing. Boo! David landed.
God's sake.
Hey, and what did you say? When I sent you that message about that very thing, about how good the mentality was, can you even repeat what you said?
I can't remember what I said.
Oh, no. I messaged you saying, because I've never filmed a skateboard event. Obviously, I've filmed Seba stuff, the Surf Skate Academy, but I've never filmed like tricks and stuff in a skate park. And I messaged you going, I know you skaters get super defensive about angles, and that's not how you film skating. I sent you a message about that saying, does this edit work? I said
it's in a skate park, so it's going to be shit no matter what, which is true. It's skate parks are great. I love skate parks, but watching a video part filmed in a skate park is always fucking boring to me. I like watching like street skating and like stuff like that. So it's like, that's it.
Well, why didn't you say that before? I would have asked them to go outside.
I'll
tell you who was there.
Can you just move the whole competition outside, because Pete doesn't like this?
I mean, I had a coach's band, so I could have.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think...
I was going to say, I don't know who he is. You probably will.
Yeah.
Andy Mack?
Yeah.
He was there.
Was he? Yeah, he skated for Great Britain this year in the Olympics. Even though he's not...
He's Scottish, yeah.
Andy
he's Scottish, but he lives in America.
Yeah.
Is he like Tony Hawk's
his
best mate or something?
Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Actually, you said it right, because you said Tony Hawk's best mate. So yeah, that would be right. There would be an S on it then. But yeah, he was good, really good mates with Tony Hawk. Yeah, yeah. There's loads of them.
Yeah.
Like, I could just start reeling off names for you, and you'd be like, who, what, who?
Nah, yeah. Even
though
I now know who he is, I still don't know.
When I was in LA skating with my
like
mate Ben, I met Tommy Guerrero out there as well, and he was like one of the original members of the Bones Brigade. So you don't even know what I'm talking about now. You need to educate yourself on skateboarding, old 80s surfing films.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. That was funky. And really good fun.
not for this to be a long episode, but we've babbled on for about another 20 minutes at the end of it. And if anyone's still here, well done. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is down here somewhere, and leave likes, comments, reviews on all of it on Spotify, Apple, and they all really do help. And
And a huge shout once again. I know I feel like I've done this loads on recent episodes, but I've had quite a few surfs recently, and I genuinely now can't remember the last surf. Well, apart from the ones on my doorstep when I walk across the road, because there's no time to bump into people, where someone hasn't come up and mentioned the show. So again, just a huge, huge shout and thank you to people that do that, because it just for us. We spend a lot of time doing this. I'm going to lose another weekend doing an edit because I've not done it yet.
Are you just
the support is amazing.
Are you just copying Tom now with his shout outs to shout out to
air horn? You get an air horn. And when I was doing the van earlier, I was in here and I was like, it was just me and Elton in here. I had Elton John on greatest hits on shuffle. I've not listened to Elton John for ages. I forgot how many bangers Elton John had, so if my voice is sounding a bit croaky, it's because I've been singing my tits off. But you know what? And there's a reason I bring that up, is because, and I'm not going to try to turn this into another 20 minutes, but I'm not trying to turn this into one of our accidental mental health episodes. But I realised something when I was blasting my lungs off to Elton, and that for me, there's always a really good indicator of my headspace, and it's singing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm fucking miserable or pissed off, I never sing. And this year's been particularly difficult, and I've not really been singing. So when I was in the van earlier, I caught myself, and I've been singing for ages. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm surrounded by good people at the minute, and so things seem to be on the up.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Well, join us next time, and we will be just, I don't care a fuck about you.
Fuck you. Fuck you. That's because I'm a fucking demon keeper aware. Thanks to the demon keeper aware. It's because I'm not with you. That's why I'm happy.
That was a proper, shut up.
That's exactly what I would have done as well. I like it.
I know, good. Join us next time, and it'll just be me and Mitch and I chatting nonsense about what we've been up to or not been up to. We'll probably have some Lost Shore updates on that, and updates about our upcoming Devon trip. So
send us your questions, send us your funny stories. In fact, big shout to, I want to say your name was James, who grabbed me in the car park of the Old Kent Road yesterday when I had a surf, to say he's a guy with stories. So I'm looking forward to these coming in. So if you've got stories of funny shit, funny things you've seen, or funny things you've heard, file them across. Pete will tell you somehow how to get them across to us, but just start a conversation on Instagram, and then we can go from there.
Instagram, email, whatever. Or if you really want it, I'll just give you Mitch's number and you can just text it to him. So brilliant.
There we go.
Right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
And I guess that's why they call it